Welcome everyone for the Chrono Lynx at Fort Dragonia tournament. This is the winners final between CorporateImage and CarbonDrank. Due to the runners agreement, normally in a double elimination, since Corp is coming from the losers bracket, you would have to win 2 matches, but the runners have agreed that whoever wins this will take everything home. For commentary, we have a very, very special guest. Railcoon is one of the old, if not starters, of the Chrono runners. It's very, very nice that he could take time out to be with us on this day. We also have Super Handy and Doc Cobran. So I don't want to take up too much of their time, so I will give them... I will give the runners a countdown, and I will leave you to the commentary. So, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good luck, runners. Go.
Yeah, welcome in everybody, and good luck to the runners right off the start.
All right, who's going to get better luck with their third party member? I see we've got a Lena. That's pretty bad luck.
See, my PB had Lena, so I'd be pretty happy with Lena or Mickey. None of them got Corcha though, which is what I expected for Carbon.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. The starting intro does not pull from every player. I tried to mess around with it for a while. There are some characters you absolutely just cannot get.
Right.
We're talking about this, but it is very, very small difference. Every 2 characters is 1 frame for text box. So Lena is 6, which means as opposed to the best characters, which are 3, you're still only losing 2 frames. And same with Mickey, you're losing 1 frame because of it's going all the way to 4.
Right.
You might be able to Lena on your third party member, but I think they were just leaking it up.
Okay. I didn't see where that was going at first, but
oh, and Carbon getting caught by the bat. There are some situations you can be caught in where, like, you're either going to be waiting on the bat or you risk trying to sneak by. And sometimes if you have to wait on the bat, you were waiting very long. So I definitely get going for it, you know?
Well, we actually see Corporate have to do that exact thing. The bat is completely random, like, I guess, to where it's at. So even for, like, top runners, like, if you're doing PB attempts, there will be resets here. Obviously, you can't do that in a race, but... yeah, you just try to avoid the bat the best you can.
Corporate got a good lineup on the teleporter. You do a little circle around, minimizes the amount that your characters are walking when you hit the pad. Carbon also got a pretty good one. There's a lot of those little time saves throughout, but a lot of them save so little time that most runners don't bother. But this one in the intro is very egregious because of the distance the characters have to walk, so most runners go for it.
Right. Yeah, I think that's something a lot of the top runners at least have been trying to incorporate, is that, like, there's several places where you do, like, little circle movements or, like, some kind of manipulative movement so that you don't have to watch your side character or your secondary characters kind of slowly walk into position.
I don't know if Corp went for the diagonal movement. We were joking about it before we started. For context, I started working on a task. I had to scrap it, start over. I found a couple of really weird time saves that make no sense. Carbon went for the diagonal movement. Nice. Appreciate it. It makes no sense. It looks like it should waste time. If you go by the logic of, like, the diagonal movement of the, like, circle movements and other stuff to minimize the amount of walking distance, that should lose time. But for some reason, loading this cutscene, if you walk at it not at a straight angle, you gain a couple frames. Don't know why.
Yeah, it's really weird. I actually didn't even know about that.
Yeah. Either way, I should probably introduce myself because I'm not super active in this community. Hi, I'm Railcoon. I'm sort of the resident old fogey of the community. A long time ago in the 2010s, there was general interest in people wanting to get into this speedrun, and I put together the first English route for it, and it always makes me really happy to see people still speedrunning this game and, like, enjoying it, because it was sort of just a passion project. I didn't think many people were going to pick it up, and we got a tournament finals going on, and it's amazing. I love to see it.
Yeah, it's really neat to think about. I really am happy with, even from whenever I started a couple of years ago, like the community just seems to keep getting bigger and bigger, which is really nice to see.
Yeah, and if by chance people are watching this tournament haven't actually had too much exposure with this run, it's actually a pretty good JRPG run. There's a lot of boss fights. They're all safe. You can run away if things go bad. There's pretty much never any danger of game overing unless you hit the thing we will not talk about. There's one way you can game over on a boss fight, and if you run long enough, you will know what we're talking about. But in general, it's pretty safe. There's a lot of action, not a whole lot of downtime. It's a really good run, which I think is why it's been, picking up runners. Sort of an underrated game, and the speedrun even more so. But as more people see it, they say, hey, like, that looks fun, and they pick it up.
Yeah, currently right now we have both the runners. Corporate a little bit ahead, starting their first quest, which is gonna be like basically a fetch quest for Lena, where we need to go get 3 scales for a necklace. Did Corp?
He skipped the
Did Corp?
helmet shop.
Yeah. Okay. I wasn't sure if
just
he knew or not.
realized it.
Yeah, I was questioning it, and I was like, "Wait, am I wrong?"
I was about to comment that he was taking the long way around because taking the other ramp is a little slower, and then he kept on going.
I mean, at least he caught it, because I was
Yeah.
like, "Wait a second."
Everybody's done that sort of thing before. It happens. You just space out when you're thinking far ahead. You're planning in your head, like, what am I going to do the next 5 minutes? And you miss the thing that you got to do right now.
I think it's also just like a thing where like, when you're doing the run long enough, like some things become muscle memory. And so like the second time you go talk to Lena on the pier here in like 10 minutes or so, you do just immediately run out because you go to Cape Hal.
Mhm.
Like, so it's very easy if you're just like not paying attention just to do that movement instead of doing the shopping movement.
So, interestingly enough, there is a strat to skip the fireball menu, but you have to pick up the photon ray that's in a different building. I haven't fully tested because the idea is the photon ray is a faster animation. That's it. But it depends on how much time you lose by going to the second building and all that stuff.
Right.
And you'll be able to see the other RNG thing about this is the misses in your battles. The percentage that you see for the hit percentages are actual percentages, and so a lot of the RNG comes in. Did you actually hit or miss?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the fireballs are basically a consistency strat because fireballs are very slow. But if you can cast a fireball and ensure that the enemy doesn't get a turn, then you're taking out the randomness. Especially in these early level random enemy fights, sometimes they will skip their turn. Their turn will come up and then they just won't do anything. But you can't rely on that, and sometimes their turn, they can just waste a lot of time. So in some instances, hitting the fireball is that's the consistent strat. You're not taking any risks.
Right. There is a lot of variation that can happen in this first split, as we're talking about it now. And there's a lot of things that like different runners will do based off of just kind of preference or like ideas that they think is better. Like Carbon and I know a lot of other runners will do 3 3s instead of like 2 2s in the beginning. Just because if like 1 3 will kill, like you just did the Komodo on corporate side, which leaves you to be able to do other things. Like you could do a 2 2 on the other one, or you can check to see if like there's a female sand squirt, which there was in this fight, where a 1 2 will kill. And
It looks
it's just
like
things like that.
Carbon got the Hobbs Komodo dragon that just wants to sit there.
That's also RNG. How long the Komodo dragon stands there, and it sucks. I haven't seen a feather from either. Have you noticed a feather from either player?
I have not. I guess we could also talk about that. So like on top of the battles, on top of the misses, on top of like the decisions we were just talking about, some of the other RNG that comes up in the very first split here is the fact that not only are we trying to get the scales from defeating these 3 Komodos for Lena, we need different materials so that we can upgrade to better weapons early in Termina for the run going forward. We need 1 feather, 2 humors, and a fang. But right now, I don't know if Carbon will go for it or not. You can get away with only getting 1 humor because you can do a backup for the other one if you want to do iron, or you can get away with just getting 1 humor altogether and skipping the iron dagger for Kid. But big thing is we do need drops, and that can change the amount of time that things take.
And Corp has actually not seen a single beach bum in these fights, so he hasn't gotten any humor. Carbon, I think, might be the same. Just unusual. They've both seen a lot of the lizards. I don't remember what they're called.
Well, I think like so the new thing that like is for Carbon, Corp, and I and everybody's like kind of near the like 640 area. A lot of us don't even take any of the beach bum fights in the beginning. We either hope to get a beach bum from like as a third enemy in one of the Komodo formations, or we do Ivory Dagger strats. I don't know, like I said, if they're gonna do that for races.
That's what I mean. None of the beach bums have popped up in the Komodo dragon formations.
Right. Carbon, I feel like, is more likely to maybe go for Ivory, but I feel like Corp might go ahead and pick up a Cape Hal beach bum, I imagine.
Also depends on your strength, probably, like how much you want to risk that. Especially like
True.
in a shorter category like this, where the numbers aren't going to be evening themselves out as much. You're a little bit more reliant on your early strength rolls. Carbon's at 9 strength, by the way.
I want to say that Corp was too. I think I saw either Corp go. They both got a bone tablet drop in that Komodo fight.
Corp actually got a strength up there. He had a nice level up.
Okay.
Whereas Carbon did not. That's another thing. You get these star levels, and that's where most of your stats increases happen. Anything except for hit points, which can happen on any fight. There is another strat that you might go for, especially if you're humorless, like these guys are apparently. So they can fight beach bums up at the Cape Hal, get humors, and if you actually took 2 of those fights, you would get what they call a mini star.
Yeah, it's interesting because especially with a shorter category like this, we're stopping at sort of the second major plot point in the run, about 2-ish hours in. That's a bigger time loss overall to do that, but your stats are much more important. So it'll be interesting to see how much these players value that extra mini star, especially if they both have low stats to start with.
Yeah, so like stats aren't like the only thing. Not that's not regard to y'all, but just for chat and everything. Stats aren't the only thing that are going to be dictating the run for everybody. However, I will say early strats, early strength, especially for like Serge and Kid, do actually dictate like the chances of having better fights and how fast they go.
Yeah, and if you've got a low strength Surge here at the start, you could risk it and just hope you get a high strength Kid. She's going to join here in a little bit temporarily, and you can kind of guess where her strength's at based on her damage. If you've done this a lot, you think she's got a good starting point, you can roll the dice and not go for the extra stuff if you think Kid can carry you through the manor.
But doesn't the Iron Dagger also have better hit percentages than the Ivory?
I believe so.
I'm not 100% sure. I've never looked at it, but yeah, the main thing whenever you're talking about Iron versus Ivory is whether or not you're more worried about the damage than anything else.
Mm-hmm. The Iron versus Ivory is a pretty big difference in damage.
Yeah, the whole idea with like whether or not a runner would go for Iron versus Ivory is like we were talking about taking a Cape Hal beach bum here. The idea is that like you could skip doing the fight entirely, which takes out some of the variance of like how long the fight would take to do, and you're hoping that like you have good enough fights throughout the manor and everything going forward that you at least break even with what you would have done from doing it. But there are times you do save time, and there also are times where if Serge is being your main damage dealer because you don't have Kid with an Iron Dagger. If Serge is missing, it's really rough.
Yeah. The other thing to consider is that those beach bum fights on the Cape, some of them have pretty bad formations that you don't want to see. So you are rolling the dice and going for them.
But there is a risk if you have no humors that you wouldn't get the common drops from the next star level fight, the salt pepper ketchup fight, and then you'd have to go back and fight one.
That's true. That's what I was gonna say. The good thing is that like if you do risk it, like you do say, I'm deciding to go for Ivory Dagger or whatever, and they don't take a beach bum fight, it's not like they have to. It'd be like detrimental if they don't get the humor. It would be slow because they'd have to go do the Cape Hal fight post the Car Salt and Pepper, where you'll have Lena and Partial, which will actually double the enemy's HP. So would take longer.
There's the backup feather for Corp. Not hitting this rare drop early isn't too big of a deal. You of course never want to have to get this backup, but it is right here. Probably the easiest backup for any of the early on rare drops that we have.
Really, the only big difference we've seen between the two runners is the attempted element shop skip that Corp did.
That really just evened up the difference on the bat a little bit, it seems like, so far. Just because Carbon lost some time to hitting that bat. Corp spent a little extra time avoiding it, but Corp was ahead, and the slight mistake just pulled them a little closer. We still have several big pain points of RNG coming up, so this little difference means they're essentially even going before we've hit any of those really big problem areas. Also, this is my favorite point where I mentioned that in all of these early conversations with Lena, if you're not sure which one's faster, be mean to her. Being mean to Lena is always faster, and it's kind of unfortunate.
It's just like being mean to Kid is faster.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I think that the learning point from this game is you just have to be mean to everybody. It's the fastest route.
People talk less to you when you say mean things to them. It makes sense, right?
Exactly. It is very nice to see, though, that through all of the variation in RNG that there is in the first section, like we keep bringing up, there's not that much of a difference still between them. There's no one got like a huge, like an amazing start, and no one got like a egregious start, which can happen.
All right, yeah, that's expected. Corp going for at least one beach bum with no humor at all. It makes sense to go for it. This is single beach bum, so you could just take the one.
Yeah, in a PB attempt, I don't think Carbon would take it, but I was about to say, I imagine in a race he's going to, just to be safe. Oh, we got the double beach bum.
Yeah, it's much safer from Carbon. Also, only 2 enemies. Unfortunate stamina or AP luck there. He could have killed them both without being attacked if the AP luck was a little bit better. But coming out of that, because Corp's fight had a few more enemies, they're basically evened up now. Even more so than they were before.
They are very even. I will say Corporate is in a little bit more of a risky situation, but not very much so. Just because Carbon did get 2 humors out of that fight where Corporate got 1. If for some reason Salt decided to drop him the copper instead of the ivory, the ivory vest, Corporate would be forced to do the ivory dagger, where Carbon is now set to do the iron dagger.
Yep. It's funny because you normally don't think about it at all, but in the shorter category, the meme of the power glove could actually come into play as well.
Corporate hates getting the power glove, actually. So, like, Corporate says that it's a curse. I would disagree. Carbon, I know, would love to get the power glove because, like, how we were talking about earlier, like each strength in the beginning being super important because of, like, there are break points on strats that like allow you to do faster things, like depending on one strength versus not getting that one strength. So getting the power glove just really increases your chances of being able to do the faster strats early on, and that time does add up. It is funny to see that there's only probably about maybe less than 5 seconds between them currently.
I'd say it's less than that, watching the timer.
I wouldn't be surprised if there were several lead changes during these boss fights.
Yeah.
Like during the boss fight, because of the RNG of the boss fight and the way that
once we start hitting these actual boss fights, yeah, I would very much agree.
Well, there's going to be one here right at the beginning, actually, depending on when Salt decides to attack Serge to initiate the actual fight.
Yeah, so we've got the Salt and Pepper tutorial fights. If you load this up and you look at the memory, all of these bosses have 10,000 HP. Until they are done completing their tutorial, they sit at 10,000 HP. So The best way to do these fights is just to defend until the tutorial is over. Both of them got a very fast one. I think they only had to defend once for each of them, and then they got it with Salt going first, which is perfect.
I didn't see on Corporate's end. Oh, Corporate's kid, I didn't see if she got a strength up, but she did get a magic up because she hit 20 on the magma bomb on Salt. I know Carbon's kid did not get a strength up, and I didn't see her do the magma bomb or not. But it is important because usually, like, if you're kind of learning the game, you don't really pay attention to that. But like once you know those rules, like on what she can get and what she has, you know the fastest versions of the fight that you can take.
What Handy's talking about there is that Kid actually does get a star level up. In fact, all of your characters get a star level up when you do.
Yep.
So the game is generating stats for every character that you could possibly get at every star level. And the only way that actually gets skipped is if only the person is in your party and then they die during the boss battle, then they actually just miss out on the star level. The mini stars that we were talking about a little earlier, they do only apply to those in your current party.
Oh, Corp getting a Dragon Rider. Don't like to see it.
It's just, as with most elements, like anytime you see extra elements, it's just slow. Like I don't think there are very fast elements really. I mean, there are some like Aqua Beam or something, but most of the time, if you can avoid seeing any kind of element, you want to.
Also, the fastest elements are very rare for enemies to use. They generally tend to use the slower ones. Both players had different forms of bad luck. Oh, there's the power glove for Corp.
Wait, he also got the copper drop, so he is going, unless he's going to fight a beach room after, he's doing Ivory Dagger.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
So Corp is going to be talking about how cursed this run is now.
Corp did get a strength up on Serge, not on Kid. I did not see stats for Carbon.
I don't know if that's another instance of people saying that's going to be a handy commentary curse, but
I mean, I'll take
apologize,
credit for
Corp.
that curse. I'm fine. I'm chaotic. But yeah, the most important part, especially for this category of characters gaining stats off screen, is Lena, because people are joking in chat. Just say yes to Kid for RNG manipulation, but Lena is the only reason the early game works through Fort Dragonia. If we did not have Lena's magic stat, it would be real rough. We'd have to change our stats entirely. So going in there with a low magic Lena compared to a high magic Lena is such a huge difference.
Well, a lot of the bosses in Fort Dragonia have really high like resistance to like physical attacks and physical based stuff, so it would be very slow. We are watching pretty closely to make sure that they all say no to Kid. You have to say no to her 3 times, and Chrono Cross text boxes or selection boxes can feel very sluggish. So every runner at least once has accidentally said mashed yes to Kid just because it didn't take their down input.
Yeah, you gotta wait several frames after they finish filling before it'll let you hit the down input, and it's just And you don't want to spam it either because you don't want to hit yes on accident. So you gotta like wait and hit it once and make sure that it worked before you hit the X button. It's hardest trick in the game is saying no to Kid 3 times.
Yeah, because you can't even mash down because it does what is it called? It like overlaps. Like if you hit down twice, it'll go back to the top.
Yeah.
Both Corp and Carbon successfully have recruited Lena. Congratulations.
I will say that like it depends on how you look at it. If you were told that you were going to get the copper drop there as Corp and you were going to have to do an Ivory Dagger Kid, you would at least say like, hey, at least give me the power glove if I'm going to have to use Surge more often, because the power glove will help.
You're asking.
That's true.
Because the power glove is really good, don't get me wrong, but it does get replaced very quickly. Like, we get access to very good equipment pretty early in this run, so it's useful through the manor. And that's about it, and you're replacing it with other stuff. So it's a very slight increase to your secondary characters, but in a shorter category, getting that bonus speed through the manor, it's a factor. And
the power glove is a good drop. In a manner of speaking.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, no, I actually would say that like if I was given the choice of whether or not getting the power glove, I would generally say that I would want it because I do actually think that each individual strength, especially through the manner, it can be very, it can be the difference between several, you know, like several time saves or not.
Yeah, I'm stopping and I'm trying to think. I think it's less of a big deal in this partial category as well. Because there are some instances where you're very short on money and not having the bone axe to sell can kind of hurt. Like when you get guard skip in the pirate ship and the keys on the first guard, you're actually missing a lot of money.
Yeah,
Because
you should be
those fights on the ship give you quite a bit.
you should be fine. Like if you get guard skip and you only get 3 guards in the Lynx fight or the guard fight before Lynx, if you get 4, you're basically good there. But if you get 3, and then you also get first key and you don't get 2 ghosts, because 2 ghosts or 2 what are they wraiths? 2 wraiths
Wraiths, yeah.
will give you a lot of money. And even if you all the worst case, quote unquote worst case, happen at the same time, you can still sell like the panaceas and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Or
that's
panaceas.
the thing is it's less of a big deal in this partial category because you're not going to have to go back after Fort Dragonia to buy the stuff you're missing. You can just make do with the partial buy there and be fine. So I think like the power glove here is probably better than a full game run.
That's true. You can also skip the diminish because if they're not
Yep.
doing full runs. But yeah, while we were talking about that, both runners came into the second tutorial fight, which is Salt and Pepper again, just this time without Karsh. Similar to the last one, they defended until like the beginning story beats happened, and now you're just hoping that Pashal doesn't miss 13 attacks, which I've seen happen several times in this fight.
Yeah, and Pashal is a good example of why there are tiers of character in this game. Like, people make tier lists in every game, but in this game in particular, if you watch Pashal's stamina, when you use 1 stamina, Pashal does not get 1 stamina back, which most other characters do. Pashal has very high strength scaling, does a lot of damage, generally a very powerful character, but it's balanced out by gaining less stamina, and for the most part, less stamina gain is just worse. It just kind of tanks a lot of our strategies. Pashal and other characters that are built like Pashal who have the lower stamina gain just are not viable for the speedrun because of it.
Yeah,
I just had a fantastic salt pepper fight there, and he actually is in the lead now.
Oh no!
That is rough. That is very rough.
Because like you're saying earlier, that's a potential magic up missed for Lena here.
And she's only at 9 right now. Yikes. She didn't get any from the earlier fights as well. Yeah, but just to kind of backpack, because I was going to add something to the Pashal conversation. Yeah, the thing is like, the game works in whole numbers in terms of stamina. So like, you would think that like the difference between like 0.9 to 1.0 is not that big of a deal. But like, that is literally the difference between you being able to attack or not. If you're at 5.9, it doesn't matter how close you are to being at 6. You actually just don't get that extra attack.
Yeah, and it only takes like a couple rotations through your characters before that the 0.9 character is several stamina behind.
Right.
And especially given that a lot of the strategies revolve around having 2 characters that are doing the damage, a third that casts support spells, and then those other 2 are just feeding each other stamina back and forth. That doesn't work if you have a 0.9 character. Because as you keep feeding between them, they are losing stamina.
And like you were mentioning, like, because you usually have two characters who are going back and forth refreshing each other. It also affects the character who has regular stamina, because the character who has like 0.9 not being able to do as many of attacks because of their own stamina means that you don't refresh the other character as much either.
Yeah.
It just kind of snowballs.
Which is unfortunate because Pashal is amazing, and I appreciate Corp keeps putting Pashal in front so you get the adorable little boing sound. I love Pashal. Her run animation, her sound effects are great. She's just not a good battle character, so I always make up for it in the early game when we have Pashal in our party by just putting her in front and letting her have some fun before we unceremoniously boot her from the party forever.
So Carbon actually picks up Kid at 8 strength, so she's not the max you could be, which is 9. Or I've never seen a 10. I don't think she can be at 10, but at 9 is usually where she's at for when you're like, okay, this is great. Especially since Carbon's gonna be using her with an iron dagger, where Corporate's not.
I love
Also-
that this exists over here on Carbon. Is like this random accessory under the stairs, hidden chest, not even visible, is again the linchpin of so much of the strategies in this speedrun, because it's the only way we get iron this early. And it's just like, what if that wasn't there? How different would this run be?
I've actually thought about that, and I'm wondering like how much, like obviously not for speed running purposes, but how much of like that is developer intended. You know, like hey, there is an item that will give you iron. You know, if you are like someone who puts a lot of time into the game and you just happen to look and see.
Yeah, it's hard to say because it could have been an oversight. I could definitely see that being true. Because if you know about it being there, there are rare drops of iron in the manor, which feels a little bit underwhelming if you know that it's there, you know?
Right. Oh, also, I guess we could talk on the fact that, so in Chrono Cross, we haven't seen before, there are different decisions you can make that send you down different branches of getting different characters and things that happen. Here, we're actually making one of those decisions for the speedrun, where instead of taking Nikki to go to the Shadow Forest or taking, not Korcha, Guile to go up the, I can't think of what it's called, the little mountainside.
Yeah.
We're actually going to take Pierre, who, Pierre actually is probably the worst of the three characters. However, Pierre is actually the fastest way to get into the manor. We just kind of go straight through the front gate.
Yeah, Giles is relatively fast, but very ridiculous, RNG dependent, not fun. Nikki's is by far the longest. Guile is probably the best character of the three. In the JRTA community, they do challenge races sometimes. So like one of them is always saving Kid, which includes taking her with you at the start, which means you'll have Lena. And in order to get through that, the JRTA community generally all just took the Guile route because he's a very powerful magician.
That actually makes sense.
He's also interesting because his element grid is backwards. He's a very unique character like that, where as characters level up, they gain more slots in their lower level elements and less in the higher level elements. And Guile has less slots in the lower level elements and more as he gains access to the higher level elements. So he becomes a pretty good late game element user if you're playing casually. Like if you just want somebody who hits real hard with their magic, has a lot of slots to equip things at high levels, Guile is pretty good. And I love this trick. We figured out that there is a plot thing that comes up that attacks the person who is in the first position of the party. So after this little guard fight, both players are going to put Pierre in front because then he takes that hit for us, and it's great.
This is the common joke we all make. This is Pierre's main purpose for the entirety of the run.
Yeah. It is really interesting because it feels like this is supposed to be the intended route because it's how you get the extra salt and pepper tutorial. If you take the other routes, you just don't see this one. And it
Natalie,
may be,
oh, go ahead, sorry.
I was just saying, maybe because it's the easiest one to figure out. It's sort of on your main path. You talk to Pierre, he's like, I'm missing my medal, and there's a kid right there. So probably the one that a lot of people stumbled upon on their casual playthrough, so they made this sort of be the introductory one.
Natalie in chat asks, is Corp going with the Ivory Dagger? And yeah, Corp is going with the Ivory Dagger, which is normally not a big oof. The only reason it's a big oof is because they both took the same amount of fights, and there's a disparity in one of them using the Iron Dagger and one of them using Ivory. So there's no even like he didn't even get like a time save from only using the Ivory Dagger.
Yeah, it wasn't really a choice for Corp. It was RNG sort of decided that he had to use the Ivory Dagger, and that's the part that feels unfortunate, you know.
Right.
Another star level. And Carbon missed out on another strength. I think his Serge is 10 now. Still.
I also am unaware of what Corp's current strength is, but I imagine. Oh, wait, he finished with Pierre. So if you have Corp's Pierre emote, but yeah, Corp, you're hoping that happens to have highest strength as well. Ooh, that's not high. So he's at effective 12 because he has the Power Glove, which is not really what you want, knowing that you have kid with a Nerf dagger.
Yeah, he needs some good strength ups. Otherwise, his Marcy fight is going to be not fun. And there we go on
Oh,
Carbon side. Ketchup doing the punch. You do not want him to miss. He attacks with a 3. He can miss upwards of 3 times in a row. That's the most I've seen. But he will keep attacking until he hits. And he can keep missing and missing and missing. And it's just a free time loss you have no control over.
Well, I think actually if he misses 3, I think he'll only attack 3 times. If he misses 3, he'll do a instead of a revive happening, you'll get a cure plus. Which the cure plus, the reason you don't want that to happen is because the revive puts another white on the field for Serge, whereas the cure plus will put a blue, and it weakens Serge like for no reason other than Pierre decided to dodge everything.
It's so infrequent that I forgot he does something different at the end. It's
Yeah,
very rare.
You should not see. You hope to not see that.
You'll see the 1 miss semi commonly if you're running this a lot. The 2 miss will be the occasional, oh come on. I think I've seen the 3 miss once.
Also, I guess, yeah, we should explain what's happening on here on Carbon side. So the whole idea here is that there are 3 enemies in the fight with Ketchup, Salt, and Pepper. But we only attack Ketchup because we only need to hit the threshold of one of the enemies. And so we do it on Ketchup because he is the one that lives past this Flame Knock. But the whole idea is that we're trying to trigger Flame Knock to happen so that he quickly takes out Salt and Pepper. And then we finish Ketchup on the backside of the fight.
Pretty decent luck for Carbon. The Flame Knock took out Pierre. We don't care if Pierre loses stats here.
Yeah.
If your other characters have been damaged, you don't want the Flame Knock to hit them, because if they're low health, it can take out Serge or Kid, which is not fun. I don't think either of them are low health enough on Corp's side to be worried about that, so he should be alright.
Yeah, especially since I think Kid is also defending it currently.
Clean fight for Carbon. I'm sorry. Yeah, clean fight for Carbon.
I also missed to see if Carbon happened to get a strength up on that one. But let's hope that he did. So as Corp's finishing the backside of the second part of this fight over on this side, I guess we're gonna see if Carbon's going to take the fight or go for guard skip. Regardless, I think he'll do it on the back half of doing the dragon feeding minigame.
Yep.
I don't know if they've decided to do it or not, or if Corp will go for it or not, but we will see if they at least attempt to guard skip, and we can explain that in a minute.
Corp just getting unfortunate luck on his misses. Does finally finish up catch up. And it seems like Corp is falling behind and has the Ivory Dagger. And if you don't have a lot of experience with this, you're like, well, how can Corp win? There are plenty of other problem points coming up.
So many.
Corp could get a string of good luck on strength, and Carbon could go completely dry. There's no way that this is even close to over. So like,
Yeah. I mean,
this early, it can still swing very hard in either direction.
Yeah, and like even after the manor, like even if Corp falls like a good bit behind, there's a 2-minute swing that can potentially happen out of both hands of the runners just based off key RNG.
There's also the issue of we don't see Lena's health right now, and if you roll low health leading up to Red Dragon, that can be really bad if he decides to Fire Breath Lena and she just has very little health. Completely out of your hands, can force you to reset the fight.
And
It's not
just, yeah.
super common. Usually she'll roll enough to be safe, but it is a thing that happens from time to time.
Over on Carbon's side, we do see Carbon heading to potentially do the guard skip. The guard skip is going to be a 1-frame trick where you basically try to hit confirm on the door to use the key in between 2 different text boxes from the guards here. He is going to go for
Let's
it.
go for it. Okay.
It's a 20-second hit to even go for it. It's like a 20-second time loss because you have to wait for these. Oh, did he get it?
No, he
He
didn't
didn't
get
get
it.
it. So if he would have just taken the guard fight, obviously hindsight is 2020. But if he would have just taken it, he wouldn't have had a 20-second hit here. He might even run and go for it again because you can reset. He actually might since he got 4. No, he's just going to take it.
Resetting it is even slower than going for it the first time. So, like, I fully understand this. In a race like this, go for it once. It's very difficult. You need not only the 1-frame window, but you have to be lined up in a very particular spot.
Right.
Doors in this game are the true final boss. There are many doors in this game where the place where you need to be standing and the angle you need to be facing to interact with doors are way smaller than they feel like they should be. And this door is one of them. You're trying to do it in the dark. You can hardly see where you are. And you got a 1-frame window to interact with the door. It
A neat
takes
point
a
to talk
lot of
about here.
practice.
A neat point to talk about here is that we were just talking about all the places that things could happen. If Corp goes for it, and he gets it, this could be a big equalizer.
Yeah. Because he'd be through the manor right here.
There we go. Right, stop right there. Stop it there.
Oh,
yeah.
He didn't get it either.
No, he didn't get it either.
So, like, if he'd gotten it, he'd be in the manor before Carbon because he'd skipped this fight.
I mean, if
And-
anything, we've talked about it several times throughout the runs here, but like, even if you're a top runner, this is how hard guard skip can be. Like, they both missed it, and they're both top runners.
Oh, Corp gonna reset it?
Oh, so he did. He got 4, and he decided he was gonna reset it.
It's one of those things that because it's a 1-frame window and the way that inputs on the PlayStation work, you can't just mash it out and get it. There is luck involved if you're mashing, and it's been very difficult to try and find a consistent time frame. Oh my god, he got it. Second
He
try.
did get it.
Got it second try. Nice. Well, that evened things up quite a bit.
That still saves a little bit of time over the 4-guard fight.
It does. And so the only issue is now is that like well, we were talking about earlier with or Relkun mentioned it with money, is that you kind of get less of a benefit of the time save, and you have to worry about a little bit of money issues. But actually, now that I was talking about that, I forgot he's probably not gonna do a full run, so he can skip diminish, so he shouldn't
Yeah.
have any money issues.
I think the money issue is less important in Lynx 2, especially.
Right.
It's like you can go for these strats with less worry because you don't need to have as much money since you can skip stuff in the shop.
Right. My brain automatically starts thinking about like full run strats.
Yeah. So Corp still made up a little bit of time over Carbon there. It was not the ridiculous time save if he got in the first try, but still gained some time there. And the manor is going to be fun because there's a couple boss fights in here. My favorite thing to bring up is the Dragoon Gauntlet, because if you look on GameFAQs, most of the top-rated FAQs for this game will tell you that you cannot get the Dragoon Gauntlet. You have to come back later. And we'll see that our runners will be displaying some persistence to get it instead.
It's also going to be neat to watch both runners because, as we've mentioned several times before, Corp has the Ivory Dagger Kid and Carbon has the Iron Dagger. So you're actually going to be able to see kind of almost side by side the differences in choices you can make. You can make them be not that big of a difference as long as you know you don't have terrible misses with Serge. But it's going to be neat to see the different strategies they use.
It is going to mess a little bit with the Lynx fight at the end of the manor, because normally the way you count that damage is you count the number of hits, and if you get a crit, you count it as an extra hit. But with the Ivory Dagger and Kid's strength being a little low, that messes with that math, and you have to be counting the damage more specifically. You can't just count a Kid crit as 2 hits, because she's doing...
I don't think that as far as Carbon, at least in Corp go, I don't think that they use it like where they do that. I think most of them actually count like a guesstimation of like actual damage.
Another small piece of RNG is this code that the runners are getting to open that door, because 4-6 for Carbon and what was it, 8-5 for
8-5 for Corp. Oh no.
That'll lose a few seconds because they actually have to watch that thing go around.
Yeah, this one's fun. You just have to wait, and players do different things, messing around with the cursor versus just sitting there waiting.
Carbon is opting to put the revive on Pierre. I know a lot of the times, especially in PB attempts, he doesn't, because his whole take on it is that if I'm having to revive, it's a bad run anyways. It's going to be slow. So...
Is the difference with the way people are approaching this run, especially with how consistent this game is? A lot of the JRTA runners up until pretty recently would just do one run and they would never reset, and you just do a no reset every time. do it enough times, you'll get a PB eventually. And other runners want to put in the time resetting, trying to get good luck to start with, get a really good start to a run, try to aim for those really low times, shoot for them specifically. I think the GRTA community has started getting more picky and started resetting a little bit more. So, but yeah, it's definitely one of those things where you'll see how picky certain runners are and how late into the run they're willing to just drop it on any little thing happening.
Melly in chat says consistent LOL. And to be fair, so we like if you watch a lot of the top runners will kind of complain about inconsistency stuff. But to be fair, it's all kind of relevant or like relative because the run is pretty consistent. You can almost, I think you can get to a skill level where you can sub 7 almost any run. It's just kind of like when you're talking about like you obviously have to deal with RNG factors whenever you're talking about trying to get like low times. But there is go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Finish your thought.
I was gonna say there is just like different levels that once you finally get down to low enough points, like every bit of RNG matters a little bit.
Yeah, I just mean compared to other JRPGs that were released at this time, like FF9, where you can get all to the end and Death Guys wipes your party. You're not dealing with that kind of nonsense in Chrono Cross. You can always finish a run. It doesn't matter what happens. Just save before Dragon God.
That is the one.
Just save before Dragon God. Do yourself the favor. It'll happen to you eventually, and you'll be upset when it happens and you haven't saved.
Meanwhile, we've entered this bulb fight here, and the user in chat, you've got to see Pierre's other use, which is doing one hit and then turning yellow, which since these enemies are green, yellow is the opposite. So therefore, that actually increases damage there. So Pierre does have a few more uses than.
That's actually true. Carbon is he got the eagle eye drop, but Carbon is still at 12 strength. It's not really great, but he's making his way through it.
Corp was trying to finish this fight without using Kid, just getting some threes on Serge, and just kept missing the threes. So he gave up.
No. Yes. No.
Oh, it missed. It missed on the one person it mattered really on.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I will say
see the huge damage differential between what Serge is doing and what Kid's doing, just because the Ivory versus the Iron Dagger is so big.
On Carbon's side, we actually do see the Dragoon Gauntlet thing you were talking about earlier, where he's actually going to talk to or interact with this chest 20 times before Karsh. He's just like, okay, I've had enough, just open it. But to finish my thought on corporate side, although Serge is kind of important that he didn't get poisoned there, it can make it very scary that Kid is poisoned in the Marcy fight. Because she is a potential target for getting cats cradled in the mid flag or mid HP flag for Marcy. And it can already one-shot her or get close to one-shotting her because they're opposite colors. Her being poisoned and taking poison takes is going to make it a little bit rough.
Yeah, I'm going to assume that Corp's going to have to like stop and tablet her up before starting that cutscene because you don't want to have her be low health going in. That's going to be unfortunate.
Yeah, I imagine he's going to save the Dragoon Gauntlet menu here until he gets right in front of her. Just so he can do it all in one menu. Also, we're going to see... Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say here where Karsh is counting, that's where people would just assume that means you can't get it because he's just going to count. He's going to keep going and people would give up. But it turns out if you go to 20, he just gives up and he gives it to you. Fun little Easter egg. And this is a ridiculous piece of equipment that you're definitely not supposed to have. I mean, it's definitely developer intended that he gives up, but they very certainly expected most people would give up before you get there. Because that's +3 attack. It's not +3 strength. They're two different stats, but it's still a big difference.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised. Corp actually went ahead and equipped the Dragoon Gauntlet. Maybe just muscle memory, didn't even really think about it. He did, it happens. But we also get to see why getting a high code sucks here. Each one of these turns takes a little bit more than a second. So every additional overall additional turns you have to do, you lose a couple of seconds here and there. No one really resets over it, even PB attempts, even if you get a 9-9. It just kind of sucks because it's random.
Was he going in without healing?
He'll probably heal right beforehand. Hopefully.
No, he's just going.
Okay, no, he's healing.
Okay.
I mean, that makes sense.
Absolutely right before.
One frame before the cutscene.
Yeah. That makes sense. So, like, because you do take poison tick per step you do, so he's just trying to make
Yeah.
sure he's at the max health you can go into this fight with. Gonna be
Really neat
scary
is-
enough.
We get to meet Mr. Plot Dump here.
I cannot reach this point in commentary without talking about how this is where he explains the Trousers of Time. If you've never read Terry Pratchett, those books are fantastic. That's my plug.
Trousers of Time are really great.
So yeah, we keep talking about how Marcy is a scary fight. We're actually about to see Carbon go into the fight. I guess we can explain why and what's going to be happening here. So for Carbon, well, for both of them, they're both going to be trying to do damage to hit different HP flags of Marcy. Marcy will Cat's Cradle at 249 health when she gets her turn. And then at 125 health, which is her crit stance and 25% health, if she gets a turn on that that HP threshold, she'll actually do 2 Ice Blasts, which are very damaging. Also can proc Frozen. It's kind of late into the fight, so especially for Corporate, who's going to be taking poison ticks or whatever, you can just game over from it. So the idea they're going to be trying to do here is they're going to be giving her a turn right before she goes into crit health, and then try to burst her down completely so that she doesn't get a turn to be able to use her Ice Blast.
Yeah. And just for context, Ice Blast is a level 4 element. It is much higher than what you're seeing normally at this point. It's also the drop from Marcy, her common drop, and her rare drop is an iron. In Fort Dragonia, it is not fun if you get the iron.
Especially since we've already gotten the iron earlier than we were supposed to by grabbing the Profiteer first out of the mansion.
So the Cat's Cradle hits Serge over on CarbonDrank's, and that is very nice. Not too worried about that. She's just gonna slap a little bit.
I like what Carbon just did there. So, like, okay, he's gonna do Fireball. He's doing Fireball first. He's reversing it because he knows he's gonna have to do both. He should be fine here. One of the ways that you can make this fight consistent, even if you have low damage, low strength, or whatever, as long as you're kind of an experienced runner, is if you know the HP flags you're trying to hit and how the fight works, you can tap her a couple of times, then defend, just to give her an extra attack, let her go, and then burst her down.
Oh, that was scary. It's scary anytime you need to have Pierre finish it.
For the win!
Ice Blast drop and 13 strength. Nice. Corporate. Okay, he should defend here. He just did fire. I don't agree with. Oh, he got a crit, so maybe it'll work out.
Crit.
No, it didn't.
No.
Yeah, he should have defended.
Oh, it's Cat's Cradle first, though.
Yeah,
Interesting.
she will always.
I'm
She will
sorry.
always cradle first.
I didn't even. I thought I looked over and he was later in the fight than he
Yeah.
was. That's my apologies. I thought that
Just
I
managed
saw the
to-
fireball.
Yeah, that's pretty good. The crit is very useful there because it just, if you're before the Cat's Cradle, you've got a good AP roll. That's just free. She never skips the Cat's
Ooh, a
Cradle.
double.
It's one of the nice things.
Yeah, I apologize. So I was watching Carbon's fight and I looked over and I saw him fireballing. So I assumed that he was later in the fight than he was, and I was like, oh, she didn't even go into crit from that. Like, and then I saw him walk up into a 3s. I was like, oh, he's getting ice blasted. But yeah, if she didn't Cat's Cradle, that was a really good fight and strat from CorporateImage.
Yeah, Corp got
She
the
will always-
+2 and the Ice Blast, so Corp looking pretty nice. Has the power glove. Hey. I don't know if he still has it equipped because he had the ivory helmet on Serge earlier.
Here's where we meet Haro. Haro happens to be the femme fatale of this game, I guess. She like talks like she loves Serge and she knows Serge. And when I was first playing this game, I was like, "Who's that?"
He does not make much sense at the beginning, yeah.
We're also about to see a little bit more RNG in part of the run here. Is these guards have different formations. You can get like 2 sergeants, 2 privates. You can get 3 privates and 1 sergeant. You can just get 3 enemies,
Not
which is
5
like
guards.
a sergeant, 2 privates.
Not 5 guards. Not 5 guards. Okay, we got 3 from Carbon. Sorry, I'm sending some positive vibes.
But yeah, it can just make the fights, especially if you're low strength, being like a combination of low strength and getting like a lot of guards. Just there's a lot. That's where a lot of the RNG variance can come from.
If you're paying enough attention and you've got high magic on Kid, going for a magma bomb can be worth it on one of the high guard formations because if she's got high enough magic, it actually puts them low enough health that a decent strength Surge can finish them with a 2. Not the
Right.
sergeants, but the regular privates. So it is a nice thing to be aware of going into this fight, because sometimes you just will get that 5-guard fight, and it's pain, and you're tempted to run away. But if you got high magic, you can kind of deal with it, you know?
The really good thing here is actually Corp is at 15 strength, but he has a power glove, so he's effective 16. And at effective 16, or at 16 strength, you can actually do 2 2s instead of 2 3s to kill the privates, and a dash and slash straight full kills the sergeants.
Something a little different than Chrono Cross than is in some of the other Square games is that the poison will actually tick you dead.
Mhm.
Pierre, coming into this battle not having been healed, had like 1 HP and he died like right off the bat. She's no longer
Which is-
poisoned. I guess that's the good news, right?
I mean, that's honestly the thing you want. If it happened on an earlier fight, then he could have just healed in the post-battle menu, but unfortunately, Pierre's going to be low health going into the Lynx fight. I'm curious if he's going to heal him up, just because sometimes, you want to make sure he's there in this fight.
Yeah, and coming up on Carbon Cider now, he's actually starting the Lynx fight, which is going to be the last boss fight of the Manor here. And it's going to work kind of similar to the Marcy fight, where we are kind of worried about HP flags and stuff. Basically, at critical health, Lynx will do a Nostrum. That's what he's set to do, and it'll heal for a lot. It's really kind of slow. It also extends a fight, in a fight where the fight's kind of already dangerous because Lynx kind of hits hard. But basically, they're going to count damage, and they're going to try to make sure that on the turn that he would go into crit health, that we use something like Pilfer or something from Kid on Lynx, which will override him doing the Nostrum, and instead, wow, so many crits. He'll respond with an Imbecile, and it basically just skips him ever doing Nostrum, makes the fight a lot faster.
Yeah, and if
We
you're
can
having a
also
bad fight, if you miss a lot, you can also use a dash and slash, because he'll counter with the anti-white in response. So like,
Right.
if you get the first one, he does the Imbecile, and then you just miss, and he's still alive. You're like, crap, he's gonna Nostrum, is gonna lose a lot of time. You can do the dash and slash early to get the anti-white, and also delay it.
I do want to mention, so Carbon actually got something a little bit unfortunate here, is he had those crits, he was counting damage, it was a little bit off here, yeah, so he's going to dash and slash here, so it'll work out. He did the Pilfer, and still didn't push into crit health, so the Imbecile he didn't override the Nostrum, but now he's basically set. This should kill. Oh, he missed.
But he did use the dash and slash early. There's the anti-white. It's just a safety strat. Buys you a little bit more time.
Another difference is Carbon took advantage of that Eagle Eye drop, and one of his first moves was to put the Eagle Eye onto Surge, and that raises all the percentages up to 99%. And
nice crit.
with these, with the enhancing elements, you can put them at a lower level, and
Is he gonna keep? Oh,
I'll
he's
talk
got the
about that
revive,
in a
right?
second here as Carbon has to revive Surge. Okay.
So he could get away with doing like a 1-3 here into a dash. Or okay, so he's just gonna go into Pilfer, or what's he doing? Yeah,
So
he's gonna go into Pilfer.
The nice thing, well, not the nice thing. One of the unfortunate things about this game is that any of these enemies like Lynx who do these combo attacks, it's completely RNG on how many attacks they do and whether they use the strong or weak versions. So every time Lynx walks up and starts scything Surge, you're holding your breath, because you do not want him to do 3 of the powerful hits against Surge. It's real bad, and that's
So-
exactly what happened.
Speaking of power gloves, Corporate just got another one from that steel instead of the magic ring.
So I was talking about how earlier that I would always take the power glove from the Salt and Pepper fight. We've talked about this, I think, one other time in one of the other races. But getting different items at different parts of the run actually kind of changed their value. I would never want the power glove here at all.
Same.
Because the regular steel is the magic ring, and you kind of really are relying more on Lena for the second major section of this run. Or I guess third if you count like getting in through Mount Pyre. But yeah, like the last part of this run, and that magic ring is kind of something that the notes assume that Lena has. So
Yeah, and also it's important to talk about that strength and magic are not equal. The max levels that you'll get of strength and magic for characters, strength is higher than magic. Every point of magic is more valuable than every point of strength. So the magic ring, the damage increase it gives to Lena is bigger than what you get out of a power glove onto a strength character.
Right.
And it's very important. Could still get the Skyjin ring going into Mount Pyre. Cross your fingers. That's a +2 magic.
Another thing we got to cross our fingers for is I kind of just remembered this, but I'm pretty sure Corpse Lena died and was at 9 magic before
Yes.
leaving Fossil Valley. So that is coupled now with the fact that she is going to be down an extra 1 because of the magic ring. So we could be definitely seeing a struggling Lena throughout Mount Pyre and the fort.
We also don't know what her stats are right now, and she's gained a few stars while she's off screen. So Corp could get bailed out by Lena, who's feeling very magical today as well. So we'll have to wait and see once we get Lena back in the party on what the Lena's looking like.
Now, the people in chat were mentioning that it actually have been worse for Carbon, because we saw in yesterday's match that you can actually miss the pilfer and you get nothing.
Yeah. So counting it, I actually think that on Corp side, the max that Lena could be is effective 12, because she could be at 13 from getting 1 from each one of the 4 star fights post Fossil Valley. But effective 12 is still kind of low.
I'm not sure. I'd have to find the table, but her missing a stat up by dying means she could have potentially gotten to a point where she got a +2 at one of them.
I believe from looking at it from Minazawa is that like she has to be way, 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 way behind before she ever gets the chance of getting a +2.
Yeah.
So I don't think that she would. Also, we missed it on Carbon's side, and I apologize. But it is coming up on Corp's side. Chat is already talking about it. He is about to say the thing. He's about to say it. So be excited.
It's the wrong game.
I just know that we'll be crucified by chat.
Chrono trigger.
He said it. He said it.
The thing.
And yeah, chat's talking about the 1 hour timestamp after Lynx, showing what a lot of runners are aiming for. It can be tough when you're learning the run, but after you learn a lot of the backup strats and ways to get through some of these fights if they don't go well, you should be able to consistently hit the sub-hour Lynx unless things go real bad.
Right.
That's a little bit what Hitty was talking about earlier, how when players learn enough of the backup strats that they know them, they don't have to refer to their notes on what do I do here as often, can kind of pull them out of their pocket without thinking about it. You can really get really consistent times in this game, even on a bad run. It's just the high roll when you're getting the really good run can be really, really fast.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that people learn as they get more experience is that a lot of the time loss that you have from bad fights and stuff like that is, I mean, some of it is just straight from bad fights, but a lot of times you don't realize in the moment how long you're kind of just sitting there thinking and how much time that adds up.
Especially if you have to especially if you have to stop and scroll your notes.
I'm sorry. I was just going to mention that the runners have both entered this 10 minutes plot / run around / don't fight or anything, and it all starts because even though Corporate finally got into the position where she had a break so she wasn't poisoned, well, apparently she's poisoned again. And for this time it was from magic dagger that got thrown at her, and it's a special one. And then you go to this doctor, and the doctor says, I don't know what to do. And he cries and runs away. Carl comes back in, leave with me, Serge, and all that stuff. So, yeah, then you have to do that. So, the big thing that they have to do in this section really is to say no to Kid again. Basically, you need to leave her to die because she has plot armor. She's not going to die anyway.
You always say no to Kid. It is always faster. And in this instance, it's the biggest difference. You're not only skipping an entire dungeon, you have to skip switching worlds back and forth by saying no to Kid, and you also lose one of the best characters in the game if you do not say no to Kid.
I was about to mention that. I think that this is one of the choices. A lot of the other choices, like in terms of speed or whatever, are things that like maybe casually you wouldn't care about as much as doing. But I think that everyone I've ever talked to who's played this even casually, this is the one choice they're like, I can't believe I missed Glenn. Like I want Glenn. Everybody casually even wants Glenn.
So casually, I always say yes because extra dungeon and Razzly. I love the
Raz-
Razzly. Razzly's great.
Yeah.
And just on a casual playthrough, you're getting more content, you know. But for the speedrun, oh my god, Glenn is so worth. We're not going to see him today. He comes in a little too. Well, no, yeah, we do see him. What am I thinking about? We get him in Fort Dragonia. Never
Yep.
mind.
And
Guard-
when
Oh,
I
go
was
ahead.
playing this casually, I actually thought that you'd be more likely to get Glenn if you did the right thing and try to save Kid, right? You'd think,
Yeah. So Garden Aiden also brings up a very good point that we've kind of neglected to do. By saying no to Kid, the best part of it is you get to skip Korcha altogether.
And you get to see Matcha yell at Korcha. Nice bonus
True.
points. This part is always weird to me in that, like, Korcha is kind of like egging you on, like, what are you gonna do? You can't save her, huh? What are you gonna do? What decision are you gonna make? And he's like really playing it up that you're powerless and that like you're not gonna be able to save her. And then you say, I don't know. Like you don't even say you're not going to save her. You say you don't know, and then he gets angry at you. And it's like, what are you doing, man? Like, come on. Also, fun thing is that if you watch really carefully, you can see where Harley is right now. She is there, just sort of partially faded out, and you can see her legs in front of the bed if you look very closely.
Yeah. We also see Carbon continuing the dialogue section here. We're not done yet. We have that whole long dialogue we just had, and then we have to come up here and we have to basically, even though Korch is mad at us, we have to be like, my dude, we kind of need to use your boat. And he's obviously not too keen on the idea.
if you accidentally missed out on Lena, turns out, I actually thought he was a red element, but Korcha's a blue element. Not that his magic's any good and it wouldn't help you in Fort Dragonia at all, but there you go. The blue element.
I mean, it is relevant in what I was talking about earlier. The JRTA community sometimes likes to do the kid percent runs, and that would include going to the marsh, which means you don't get Glenn, you don't have Lena, but you would get Korcha. I don't think his magic stat's amazing, but at least he'd be somebody who can cast a Frog Prince early on.
Would they go the Nikki route then, if that, and skip the Pierre route? Because you can do that, and then you won't have to worry about Korcha.
No,
You
they
could
usually go
actually use-
Guile because he's such a good magic user, and you need somebody who can do magic in Fort Dragonia. I just love this much. I just calling him a blockhead and like, fine, stay here. I'm taking the boat.
I forget exactly how long this is, but I used to have this split name actually called Resident Sleeper in my in my notes. It's just like 10 minutes of straight talking right after you do like an hour worth of just straight fights.
It is one of the longest sections of text in the game, and when you think about the length of this game and the fact that it's a JRPG from this era, that's kind of unusual.
That's true.
Like, so many other JRPGs from this time period, especially the PlayStation ones, just have multiple sections of just, okay, it's time for story. And you're just going to be running around and talking to people, and you're not going to be doing much. And this is pretty much one of the longest ones in the game, and then you're mostly going between dungeon to dungeon with a little bit of talking between here and there. I think the next big story dump is the Master Mune quest, but that's
I think like the Sage split, right, where you're going back and forth on the ship, then you turn into cats and everything, like in the full
Mhm.
run, if that's what you're talking about.
yeah.
Well, there is a story split right after Lynx 2 as well. You get a bit of story, but you are doing something as that story is progressing.
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of more of an active story. Like there's plot dump plus you're running around too.
I love how
Carbon
you
is.
think...
Oh,
Sorry, go ahead. I was gonna say, I love how you think you're done with Matcha. She runs back. Wait, I got this thing, and she fakes you out. You're like, come on.
You think it's a big important thing? It is important. It's the most important thing you can get. The tropical paradise.
Oh, do you equip it?
Yeah,
on a
I mean, we
speed
should.
What were you gonna say, Andy?
I was just saying, so yeah, Carbon actually is making his escape from the dialogue section now. He's actually going to get ready to head to Termina, where we're actually going to do the biggest section of shopping in the Lynx 2 race run.
I'm seeing a shocking lack of Poshel in the front of both parties right now, and I'm disappointed.
When they both get third keyed, we'll know why.
Yeah. You have to switch back to Serge in front before you talk to the story sections, but you just hit select, you can do it on the fly, and you get the cute bouncing. It's so good. I did actually at one point test to see if different characters in the party lead had different run speeds, because that is totally a thing this game would do, but it was not a thing.
Yeah, as far as I know, they're equal.
It's the thing when you're first learning to run, because what I've noticed is that some of the fast triggers are in the first position. Other of the fast triggers, though, are in the second position, just like that one there. I mean, the first, you'd think the default is, okay, let's go, but the default there is, I'm not ready yet. So, and I have to be careful when you're switching around and stuff.
Yeah, so I guess if chat also, it's something we've been doing for all the races, if chat wants to make a kind of an educated guess on what they think the stats are going to be for Glenn and Lena, Glenn's strength is about to be a very important stat that's coming up, and Lena's magic is going to be a very important stat coming up. So for Lena, it can be anywhere between, I guess it technically could be 9 because of her dying, but it can be usually between like 10 or I'd say really good is if you get like a 15 or 16. And Glenn can anywhere between 10 and 20 for his strength.
Yeah, like 15, 16 Lena is fantastic.
Right.
You are, especially in this category where the end of Fort Dragonia is where we're stopping this race. You get a high magic Lena like that, you are set. You are happy. It lets you go for some fast strats. It takes away a lot of the randomness in some of the fights. It's just incredible.
I mean, yeah, for context, like the breakpoints for magic on like fast strats in the fort is like for Giant Gloop, you're hoping that Lena is at 15 magic by there. So if you get a 15 magic Lena at the start, you're basically set for the entirety of the run.
Yeah.
Except for Corp would need a 16 magic because he does not have the magic ring.
That's true.
So we're hoping that by the time they get to the Fort Dragonia that Corp's Lena has 16 magic and Carbon's Lena have 15. And what I've noticed in watching all these runs is that a higher magic than that doesn't help you that much. But if you have a lower one, it really hurts.
Yeah. So what I'm curious is, do you think either of them are going to get the Skygen ring? Nice bonus drop coming up. It does come at the expense of a safe defensive item, but especially in this category, +2 magic is fantastic. Can give access to some very fast kills. If either of them get it, it'll be a nice little boost. So on top of your stat guesses, let me know if you think either of them gets the Skygen ring. It's not as rare as the Power Glove, but it is, because there's like different tiers of rare drops in this game, where, like for instance, in Chronopolis, there is a random encounter, the walking around that can drop a power seal, and it is so infrequent that you never see people even like try to high roll for it in runs, you know.
But we will be waiting a while before we find out about that Skygen ring.
Yeah.
Sorry, Garden Aiden in chat says Carbon? No, won't get the Skygen. Corp will somehow get a third Power Glove.
You can get a third Power Glove if you try to steal from Ketchup, by the way.
Oh, right, that's right, yeah.
It's not worth it ever. Even if you already, if you didn't get a Power Glove. It's never worth it, but you can.
Well, so we had the guest we had on Carbon is about to pop up. We do a little bit of talking here with Machal. We're actually going to put Machal in our party, even though we're not going to use her, just because if you ever played this casually and done this casually, if you say no to Machal, you'll see her do a long walk, where she'll walk to the platform, jump off, and then basically backstroke all the way back to Goldove. And it's just a long animation that we don't want to see.
It's pretty common with a lot of recruitment in this game, is that if you don't put them in your party when they join your party, they will walk off screen. some characters take longer than others to walk off screen, so it's a pretty common thing where, come on, just join the party. We'll just kick you out at the next opportunity with the teleporter.
Right. For this one specifically, it's just like we even open up the menu again to switch her out, and it's just still faster than if we just told her no.
Yeah, it is convenient because there is a big menu coming up where you got to do some stuff anyway.
Right.
So you can combine it where you just kick her out, then open the menu. But I think I timed it. It's like 16 seconds for her to leave the screen. It's ridiculous. It's so long.
How much? So Colt asked in chat how much of a time difference between the two. I would say probably about a minute and a half actually, or so. They don't think they're that far apart right now, but it's a good bit of talking right here in this section. Maybe a minute.
I just looked at the timer on Carbon's side, so we can get an idea here, because we're just text meshing right now. So Carbon closed his party screen for adding matcha at 14:10.
Ooh, 11 magic on Carbon side. Oh, so Carbon got 16 strength Glenn, 11 magic Lena. That's about average strength on Glenn, which you want, and that's below average magic on Lena. And Carbon is not even the one who had Lena die. That means that she had 2 magic ups, I believe, the entirety of the game so far.
Unfortunate.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah, it looks like it's a little bit over a minute, not quite a minute and a half, based on where Corp is right now.
Oh, I didn't see the Glenn strength. Oh, Carbon is 15:11. Okay, I thought he was at 16:11. 15 is still, it's a tiny bit below average, but I believe that from looking at it, the average that is all I had mentioned was that Glenn is at like 15.8 or whatever. So like more often closer to 16 than 15, but still average-ish.
One of the nice
13
things
magic
is...
Lena
What was that?
for Corp, or was that something else?
Oh, Gonzalez said mistype. It is a 16. Okay.
I missed it, but I was going to say that the nice thing is that the pirate ship coming up has a lot of star levels in a short period of time. And you can kind of even out if you got some of that bad luck going into Fort Dragonia. And the stat requirements for the pirate ship aren't super high. So if you are low stats, you don't actually lose a huge amount of time. So we'll see both players, not having the best luck on their stats can maybe pull it back a little bit here on the pirate ship.
Actually, apparently Lena dying actually helped her magic, because she's at 13 for corporate.
I would say it helped it, but it at least didn't hinder it. Yeah, but no, as Relkin was saying, stat requirements for the ship are not as big of a deal. The biggest deal that's coming up is actually going to be key RNG. That can be very lengthy in terms of if you get low rolled on the key RNG, because you have to do an extra fight to check for every extra key. So if someone gets first key and someone gets third key, that's 2 extra fights. Rough estimation is around 2-ish minutes for like average time loss of getting third key.
Yeah, and as chat's pointing out, since Corp doesn't have the magic ring, he's effectively at 12, so just 1 magic ahead of Carbon.
That's true.
In terms of where, like, the stats we talk about for the routing and the notes, because the notes will always assume you have the magic ring.
Funnily enough, if you get third keyed here, that's obviously it's not going to be worth it, but you actually can get a lag star here. And this kind of backpacks off what you were talking about just a minute ago, Relkun, with the fact that there are a lot of star fights here you can catch up on stuff with. Funnily enough, Corporate, I think 2 days ago or 3 days ago, highlighted on a channel where he started with an 11 strength Glenn and then left here with 18.
Yeah.
Because he got 3+2s and the lag star. So he got 7 strength up through 3 mini stars, or 3 star fights.
I love this right here. A series of 3 fights, and there's often points where you can run away from fights. So this looks like it should be a boss fight. You can run away from it. And then there's a different dialogue from Fargo. It says, oh, they're not enough of a challenge for you. It just skips the fight for you. one of the only forced fights where running away will actually skip it, and I love it. Because not only is it possible, but the dialogue is different. So it reminds me of like the Yoshi's Island off-screen boss kill, and then Kamek goes, "Oh my!"
It's funny because like there are a couple of them in the game, but most of them are actually all right here. So you get the one right here on top of the ship. Then there's one once you get tranquilized in the bottom, a skeleton guy runs in, and you can run from that one as well. And then there's another one up top on the top of the ship when you're getting ready to fight Deadhead that you can run from.
Yeah, there's 3 of them on the pirate ship, and it happens almost nowhere else in the game.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's like all like they're all conglomerated like right here for some reason.
But this is the only one where it gives you a text box for it, and it's fun. I like it.
Luckily, on Carbon's side, Lena didn't get hit, but she has actually pretty good health. She might have survived, especially getting 2 blues. I think she would have survived.
Yeah, and that's high enough health that you're not as concerned about the getting high rolled by Red Dragon that I mentioned earlier. Corp is lower on health. He should be fine by the time he gets to Red Dragon. But there's some times where Lena just will keep getting like +2 health. She'll just keep low rolling her health, and then if she gets targeted on that fight, it's a problem. Both players, yeah, Corp just got a +10. Both players should be fine.
Fantastic poly fight from
Sorry, Carbon.
Carbon.
Yeah, on corporate side, I am a little bit worried. 109 is a little bit low. I think there's a small chance that she could... I actually think that if he gets 2 blues on the field, obviously it's a little bit of a variance roll. But I imagine they'll do like 103 to like 10... It could even kill. Like, it's in that range. Luckily, we won't have to see it, because it's not going to hit Lena. Also, I guess we missed the naming mishap on corporate side, but we have a Clin.
Oh, I didn't notice that, yeah. I also enjoy that Carbon's Serge is just F. Possibly paying some respects in advance.
So right now, Corp is at 17, 14, 13 for his key stats. 17 being Serge, 14 being... He's kind of low on his secondary characters.
Yeah, would have really liked to see a magic up there for Lena, but the issue is that what I was talking about is magic stats are more valuable per point, and that means getting a magic stat per level is less common, even on magic like
Yikes.
focus characters.
Yikes, that was a really bad star up from on Carbon side. Didn't get a strength up on Serge, didn't get a strength up on Glenn, and didn't get a magic up on Lena.
Somebody in chat's pointing out that there was a +2 strength on Lena, though. Not where you want to see that.
I don't know if you happen to catch that race or not, Relcoon, but there was a race where I believe it's Ezio Pony at the end of the fort had a 26, I believe, 26 or 27 Lena on strength.
Oh my god.
She was a monster.
No, I did not see that. That's one of those runs where you wish you got the iron frying pan, because that used to be a strat, is give her the iron frying pan, but it's usually not worth it.
I've actually never seen those strats, but that makes me so intrigued.
That was before we figured out a lot of the stat breakpoints, and the iron frying pan just made a lot of the fights more consistent with her damage. But once people like Ash and others came in and started going, okay, with this much strength, you want to do this strat and that kind of thing, it became just not needed anymore.
Right. Corp also didn't get a magic up again on Lena. She's still at effective 12, which is definitely not what you want to see. But if we were talking about earlier about places that this league could just swap, and here's one of the areas, depending on what key each of the runners get.
Yeah, and the more that Carbon keeps missing these magic ups, the more that Corporate missing the magic ring doesn't matter as much. Because if they're both going in with low magic, they're essentially even. Like, if you're doing low magic strats in Fort Dragonia, it doesn't really matter if you're like 12 or 13. You're still low magic. So that could be the way that this RNG evens out, as if they both just completely miss on magic, puts them on an even playing field.
Oh, the door almost hit open for Carbon. Doors, like you mentioned earlier, are actually the true final boss.
Yes.
But also on Carbon's side, before we get to the key RNG, Carbon's actually performed something called the Ghost Dance, where it's this tight little corridor, and basically he's going to try to get this guy to move while he's doing some. He got a little bit caught, but it worked out. Very clean. He's not even doing like several circles. He's doing precise movement, and he's going to get through it. And now, as long as the door opens whenever he goes over there in a relatively reasonable amount of time, then he'll be able to skip this ghost completely.
Ooh, the door!
The door!
Okay.
Okay, he's still good, but yeah, that is what you call the door being a troll.
That is
Andy,
one
that
of the
was your
harder
fault.
doors in the game.
You're the one who mentioned it, Handy. It's your fault.
Look,
Oh,
I can't help but
interesting.
not. I've seen it happen. I have to mention the things that can't happen.
Carbon actually skipping the first fight, going straight for the Panacea, hoping that if he can high roll on a 1 key, he won't have to go back for
Well,
the Panacea.
So in everybody's notes, this is actually the first key that everybody does, just
Interesting,
because we need the Panacea anyways. So like we have to open the chest, and then we go ahead and just take this fight, and then if we don't get it, then we run back and do the other one.
I was thinking, especially in the Lynx too, you could try to do the runaway strat where you don't actually have to fight this fight if you get the first key.
It might
on
be
the other
worth.
guard. Like if we get more into this category where you take that skeleton fight, there is a particular movement. It's similar to one later in the game where you walk up, you like Corporate did if you time it just right, you can open or Carbon did. You can open the chest as the fight is starting, and then you run away. And then you
Oh.
can just get away from that fight without ever having to fight it.
First key from Carbon, so there will be no time gain for Corporate, depending on key. He wants to at least get first key to hopefully not increase the time difference here.
Yeah.
Corporate did have a slight slowdown because I think, did he get the vent conversation there?
Carbon got the vent dialogue, and it's just because he talked to him on the side closer to the vent instead of the left side.
This ladder that Carbon's going down right now, if you have issues with that, you're picking up this run, hug the left side of the ladder. It doesn't look very obvious, but it's very important that you hug the left side of the ladder, and that race should never catch you. Oh, not first key for Corp, so he's going to go back for the other guy.
Unfortunate. Still not over. It will feel pretty bad because you were already behind, and he obviously doesn't know that that Carbon got first key, but there's still lots of time for things to happen and time saved the lead to switch back and forth.
I think this is the better result. When you're doing a full game run, you do want to see wraiths. They take a little bit longer, but they give you more money, makes your money more consistent. But with what we were talking about earlier, where money is less of an issue in this category, seeing the double skeletons, which you can finish very quickly with Serge, that's the fast fight. That's what you want to see.
Got third keyed.
For those of you who might have been wondering if these runners would continue on, Carbon skipped the photon beam, so that means that he doesn't feel that his RNG is good enough for this to go ahead and continue it. So.
Yeah, it makes
So we
sense.
are gonna
Photon... Sorry, go ahead.
No, you good. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, it makes sense. The photon beam is a long animation. It can be used on Lynx too, but the real power of it comes later in the game. It's a very small time save to skip picking up the chest, but it's free time save. If you don't need it in this category, you skip that fraction of a second. Why not?
And as Corporate is fighting to get the last key, the guy here will definitely have the key. But on Carbon's side, we actually are seeing him fight the final boss of the ghost ship here. Going to be Deadhead, which is actually an enemy that works. I think this is like one of the only enemies or one of the only bosses that works similar to like a lot of other Final Fantasy bosses, where you can actually use cures on him to hurt him because he's undead.
There's also a secret fourth key location, but only if you make a mistake. If you do not close the dialogue telling you that somebody else has the key properly, and you run away before it finishes the dialogue, none of these three pirates will have the key, and you have to go all the way back to that guy, and he'll have the key instead. But that'll only happen if you don't close the dialogue properly.
And the unfortunate thing is you can't even like manipulate in a way that where you intentionally don't close out the last text box and that guy will have it first. It makes you go do and check every one of the other guys beforehand before coming to that guy.
Yeah, he'll go, oh, I forgot, I have it, sorry. And he'll only have that dialogue once you check the other 3. It's real unfortunate. Ooh,
Corp
Corp's
actually
playing
playing
it
a little
safe.
bit safe. Yeah. Oh, so this is
This is
so-
where you start doubting yourself.
right. In Foresight, you're like, yes, I'm gonna play it safe. Wow, he's being. This is.
Oh
okay,
my god.
That's insane. So like everybody watching is like, why would he not just run forward or whatever? But like, there's a little bit of like sunken cost or like effect into it where obviously like playing safe right there means you don't get caught into a battle because they're randomly moving. So you wait, but then time passes and you're like, okay, I've already waited this long, so I might as well continue to be safe because it'd be dumb to wait and then also get hit.
Yeah,
And then the guy just trolled him.
their charge is so fast that if they're all the way back in a position where they can charge, you're running the risk. And it just turns into a giant mind game at that point. Like, do I go? Do I go? Do I go? Am I talking myself into walking right as he's going to charge? And you can just fake yourself out real hard.
Yeah, because the worst case scenario there is you wait for that long, finally go, okay, I've had enough, take a step forward, and then he charges.
Yeah,
And
I
then
mean,
you also get the fight.
big respect for him just waiting the entire time. Like, I would have probably gone after a few seconds, be like, screw it, and then probably gotten hit because I'm impatient.
So Corporate actually making his way to the Deadhead fight, while Carbon is actually going back to Marbiel because we need to pick up 2, or maybe even 1 in this category, valuable elements here. He's going to pick up Magnify and potentially maybe Diminish, which are very expensive, and is why this is actually one of the only parts in the game where you can have a little bit of money issues, which he wouldn't. He has way more than enough.
Probably only Magnify? Yeah.
He bought both, but
He
it's
uses
probably
diminish as a placeholder in his menu.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, but like, he could skip it still technically and use something else as a placeholder. But he had 4,500. You only need 3,340 to buy both, so he just went ahead and bought both, I guess. We have the money, no reason not to.
Yeah. I think you've got enough tablets that you can just throw a tablet on there if you wanted to skip it, especially if you didn't have the money for it.
Right. We actually saw Corporate and Carbon do it in the beginning of this Deadhead fight. We're also going to see Carbon do it several more times going forward here. But funnily enough in Chrono Cross, you're going to see them put like things like Strengthen or buff elements like Genius and Eagle Eye and stuff on level 1. And even though they're going to say like, I think it's Eagle Eye -3, Strengthen -3, meaning that they're not supposed to be that low, far down on the elements, you actually don't lose anything at all from doing it. You gain the fact that you only have to build to level 1 to use them. So a lot of the strats are going to delve into the fact that we can just basically use one character to buff up with like Eagle Eye and Strengthen, and use them to basically finish most of the fights going through here.
And you'll also see that the person who's physically attacking will often be the one in the center, because when you use your side characters and you select Strengthen or Eagle Eye, it'll usually default to your center character. So if you're at a point where Glenn is your main attacker, sometimes we have Glenn in the middle just to save that little bit of menuing input. Just a nice little convenient thing.
It also gives you just the peace of mind of being able to mash through it because it'll auto-target the middle person.
Yeah.
But chat, you know what's coming up. Prepare your W's.
Oh boy, yeah.
Corp also finishing the Ghost Ship, so he's going to be coming straight in Mount Pyre right behind Carbon.
Much better level up there for Corp than Carbon got. So this is our last Salt and Pepper fight for this run. Here they're teaching about trap elements. Salt throws out a trap and actually traps Pepper's elements, and then Salt tells him, "Oh no, we can't use it until after the battle."
W. W.
Yeah.
You off, dog, but we have to get the W's in. The W.
W.
But yeah, you can continue the
So
explanation of why
slow.
these happened.
Oh no! I was actually just going to say that I was getting to the W's because that's Pepper's response.
Oh,
Yep.
good combo from Pepper. So Pepper will attack Salt a different amount of times. It happens after his HP threshold changes to his real HP, and the amount that he attacks can be relevant. If you if you crit Salt, and then Pepper on his next turn is still angry and attacks Salt, he can kill Salt for you. It's so you always want to see that little extra damage from Pepper if your stats are not high. If you've got really high stats, you don't want him to attack much because you're going to be able to kill Salt quickly enough that it's not going to be an issue.
Carbon got the crit.
Yeah.
Salt, he crit Sultan. Yeah, I've actually seen it a couple of times where he'll kill Sultan. It's pretty funny to see.
Yeah, especially if you're on low strength, where that can actually save you a couple attacks. It can be really nice.
Carbon is at 243 with Glenn on a crit.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Glenn is good against Salt and Pepper because they are yellow.
Depending on Glenn's strength here, this should kill. Oh, he's a little bit low.
Oh. Frank pen? Frank pen?
Yeah, very close.
Yeah. That was the nice bonus of the iron weapon for Lena, is it's a frying pan and it makes the clang. It's so good.
Oh, Carbon got the Dragoon Gauntlet. He's already got 2. Now, that's less of a big deal in Lynx 2, because mainly what you are going to be doing through the fort here is magic-based stuff. But, why not? It helps, I guess.
It helps on the last
damage.
2 fights.
That's true, yeah.
Against the
Which defensive
Viper and
element,
Lynx.
Did he miss out on because he got the...
I believe it's the mail. Did you get the Iron Vest and the Iron Mail? I believe the Gauntlet's over the mail.
Yeah, it makes your defensive stats a little worse because those Iron Vest, Iron Mail are very nice upgrades to your armor at this point. But Lena's health is high enough that you should be fine skipping that. She's at 165. I'm still going to be a little concerned about Tarusoid, but...
I'm going to say it, even though it always seems to curse. But as Rokun was talking about earlier, we're actually about to come up to the Fire Dragon for Carbon, which can be a dangerous fight. If you're learning or in a marathon, sometimes you'll take safety saves here. Also, the W's are on corporate side here. But the big thing here is you just mainly don't want to get one-rolled by the Fire Dragon. That's because Fire Dragon is 6 AP, which we haven't really gone into AP very much, but essentially, if you're a little bit unaware, it's basically the speed of how fast an enemy goes. Especially being a 6 AP boss, it's pretty quick. And on their initial roll, it can be anywhere between 1 up to that number and a little bit above. We just really hope that you don't get one-rolled.
Corporate's Pepper was not quite as angry at Salt. Still got the 3 attack, but there were a couple weaker attacks in there.
Okay, I didn't curse Carbon. Carbon got the Eagle Eye off on Glenn. So the difference between a regular start here and a great start is if Carbon gets to do a 3-3 first. And he does.
Oh, he's attacking Lena. Okay, don't. Ooh, okay, he stopped. If he does the triple combo on Lena, even if she's high health, sometimes she can just fall over. And having to run away from this fight's awful because it's one of the only fights in the game that does not let you menu when you run away. So you have to run away twice so that Lena's revived to 1 HP, run away again so you can heal with tablets on the menu, and then you can try again.
Well, so like one of the biggest scares there after he attacks Lena is that he does Fiery Breath on Lena, which if looks like he would have targeted her. But so what Carbon did for safety there is we always try to put 2 blues on the field if we get the great start, or even if you don't, just because you want 2 blues on the field so it counteracts the Fiery Breath there. Carbon replaced one of his Aqua Beams with a Cure Plus, instead curing Lena to full health, which thank God he did because the Fire Dragon has done nothing but attack Lena.
That was a good defend. Holy crap. Oh, Fire Dragon tried so hard.
He did. Good fight. Even with Fire Dragon literally targeting Lena, I think 4 times there, or it was either 3 or 4. Like, only her. Carbon played a very safe fight on a very scary fight. Oh, he got the Magic Ring drop also.
That's funny. But what I was talking about earlier, where sometimes if you get a low roll on HP, you can be upwards of 40 HP lower than where Carbon was if you just have really bad luck on Lena's HP. And then she would have died, even in that same situation where you heal Lena, you defend, he attacks her one more time at the end, she falls over if you've just got worse HP luck. So
yep.
It is kind of a big pain point of RNG. You're not going to be that low on HP very often, but sometimes it happens.
I actually wanted to just kind of bring this up because I actually think that it's a very important point when we talk about consistency in the run. So like I think as a new runner, sometimes with like things that just happen to Carbon or whatever, where Fire Dragon only targets Lena. If you're not doing like things to kind of counteract it, that's one of those places where you can be like, I just got really unlucky. I just got really unlucky. Where like when you become more of an experienced runner, like you start learning how to counteract stuff and make things more consistent. To where like, yes, that was unlucky that he attacked Lena 4 times, but like I made it to where it was at least within my control that maybe it wasn't the fastest fight ever, but it wasn't terrible.
Yeah, even going over and just defending on Lena in case she got attacked again before she used Ice Blast was a really good play.
Exactly.
Like, if the dragon had attacked her 3 times, I think she still falls over, but it was just a good consistency play. It gives you the most chance to survive.
And also, as Corporate is coming in to the Fire Dragon fight, starting the Fire Dragon fight, we're actually seeing Carbon do the 3 Divas fight, where this fight can sometimes go very wrong just based on when Zoa goes. You kind of want Zoa to not go on his first turn, which he didn't till very late, so you get to skip Geronimo here.
Yeah, you don't want to see that animation, and one of the interesting things about this fight is just taking out Marcy as soon as possible, because she is still a problem.
Carbon's Glen is... Okay, he did kill, but he didn't kill with a 1-3-3, so his Glen must not be very great. It's hard to sometimes keep track of what they're both doing in both of these intense fights.
Yeah.
Corporate got one rolled by the red dragon, as you were talking about earlier.
Oh no, I'm sorry, Corp. But it looks like he's getting through it. I mean, he should potentially kill on this turn.
Oh, the miss!
Oh man.
Oh, I was so scared.
All right, up to Glenn to hit these 3s. All right, he's gonna go for a 2. Okay, good call. I didn't know where he's at in damage. Yeah, good call.
Depending on damage roll, that could have killed Lena because she was not defending. So that was very scary. +2 strength on Glenn for Corp.
Got 19.
12 magic Lena for Carbon there, going into the Dragoon fight.
I think that Serge on corporate side is also at 19, so he's at some 38. And the reason that matters is if you were at, like, I believe, like, below some, like, 30, or if you're, like, 31 or below, X-Strike on Marcy wouldn't kill, so you would have to change to doing your poke damage to get to level 3 on her, which corporate does know about, but I think that he should be well and good to kill with X-Strike.
Oh, O'Malley is in the chat is right. You know, corporate is a big fan of cleanliness, and so that's why the names.
Oh, no.
Oh, my goodness.
We do see Carbon making his way into Fort Dragonia, the last dungeon of this Lynx 2 race. With Corp not that far behind him. He's one fight behind him.
And it feels like we're close to the end, but a lot of the variance lives here in Fort Dragonia. There's a lot that can go wrong even when you have good stats. Tarusoid comes to mind. Please behave, Tarusoid, for both players. So, you know, cross your fingers, keep rooting for your favorite player. We still can have a pretty big swing here in Fort Dragonia, especially with both of them having low magic strats on Lena. Makes you much more susceptible to the RNG here in the fort.
Thankfully, at the very least, unless things go catastrophically wrong, most of the fights here with both these runners, if they know how to do it, they should just be like maybe only losing time. They shouldn't be worrying about dying, especially for like even Taurusoid, because now a lot of the runners do incorporate the cure strat on Taurusoid as well, where if you get targeted on Lena and maybe even Serge if he has low health, you cure Serge on before the second attack happens, and then you go into it.
Before the backdrop or whatever it's called.
Right.
There's the Geronimo for Corp. Unfortunate. It's not the longest animation, you just don't want to see it. It's interesting because this boss fight that's here that Carbon is fighting is because we skipped a side quest. There is an optional side quest to go into the Fairy Isles, the Water Dragon Isle, and you can get the Dragon Prince that way. And since that hasn't happened, that quest is now gone, and this fight is here to give you a star level and to give you the Dragon Prince, which is very nice that they decide to give it, or the Frog Prince. It's very nice that they give us that without doing the side quest, because this Frog Prince is the key to a lot of strategies, especially with low magic. When you've got high magic, you can skip some of the Frog Princes. It's a long animation. But without having high magic, you are going to be wanting to rely on it more in Fort Dragonia.
Yeah, as far as I know, most runners will be using Frog Prince on every one of these fights coming forward up until Viper. And actually, on Carbon side, we're actually about to see that strat switch happen right now, where the entirety of the fight, instead of strengthening an Eagle Eye and Glenn, or just any character and using physical attacks, we're going to be using things like Genius and Weak-Minded as our buff and debuffs, and then basically filling the whole field blue, which is a prerequisite to using the blue Frog Prince. And that's the whole idea. That's where a lot of the fight strategy comes from, is you're trying to fit in getting the whole field blue and using Frog Prince in between the enemy going, so they don't interrupt it and throw another color on the field.
Yeah, and it's difficult for a lot of players casually because they don't know how to like effectively fill the field with one color. You just have to remember that the using any element uses 7 stamina. So you want to stockpile some element levels, get people to full stamina, and then if somebody's at 7 and they cast an element, one other person casts an element, that other person has 1 stamina again, they can cast a second element. So you can have 2 characters fill a field with blue if they both have full stamina. And they've got 2 element levels and 1 element level. It's really, really easy way to get summons up if you're struggling with that in your casual play.
That also circles back to a way earlier point you had about characters who have less than a 1.0 recovery rate, where that would also be a factor. Is that if you used an element, it wouldn't even give you full 1.0 for another character to go to fill like a level up. Like stamina growth our stamina refresh rate is actually very important.
And what were you gonna say there, Cobran?
Oh, I was just gonna say, Corporate has 17 magic going into this fight, so he's really good on magic.
I missed that he got those magic ups then, yeah.
Carbon actually has 2 magic rings, so I think they're both alright.
It's not like great magic, but they're at least at some of the lower thresholds to get some of the not really low magic strats.
Yeah, they're both at least they're both in a situation where they can at least potentially do all the fast strats, because you need to be at 15, effective 15, for the giant gloop fast strat. It also depends on AP rolls for the giant gloop one if you want the fast one. And then the next big one will be on Son of a Gun, where effective 15 comes up to a variance roll on whether or not Frog Prince will kill before Kissy Wissy, but 16 would for sure kill.
And Son of a Gun is also pretty heavily AP reliant. You can get low rolled on Son of a Gun and just be unhappy.
Corp just got another magic, so that's 18 now.
His Lena's really growing.
And this is what I was talking about. Like, you can still have pretty strong swings inside of the fort. Getting this much magic is very nice on Corp's side.
It was that death, I tell you.
Yeah, coming up on Carbon side, though, he's going to do one more kind of annoying dodge of a bat coming up. But coming up to the giant gloop, fortunately, almost as if it's kind of like planned, the very first fight in here is actually very kind to us wanting to do the Frog Prince strat, because unlike the enemies or the bosses coming after this fight, if you were a little bit iffy on like whenever you could go and start filling the entire field blue, you don't have to worry about it with Giant Gloop, because the Giant Gloop will use blue elements anyways and help you fill the field blue. So it's pretty safe.
And if you're having a not great fight on Giant Gloop, he will eventually just cast blue field himself.
Yep. There are times where it's faster to, instead of trying to fill it yourself because, misses or whatever, you can defend it out and let him blue field anyways.
Yeah.
Now that I've watched these speedruns and understand the AP system, I'd actually like to kind of go back and play this kind of casually again, just to be able to use the strategies that are done with the AP system, which is not talked about in game at all.
I think Carbon could have made it in front of that bat, but he played it safe just in case. That is the one where sometimes it can be scary. It looks like you should be able to squeak by, and the bat just swoops in from really far away and gets you anyway.
So we do know that Carbon does have the magic to go for the fast right here. The idea here, that I said depends on AP, is if he gets the Genius off before Gloop goes, which you have to get a really high roll, so you don't really expect it, but it can happen. Oh, he's going for a turn red. Is he not at high magic?
Well, he's not at high magic. He does have the 2 magic rings, but I think his Lena is actually like 12 or No, it's Lena's lower magic.
I thought that you, my bad. I thought I got misunderstood. I thought you said earlier he had pretty good magic with the 2 magic rings. Okay, so yeah, this is the lower magic strat.
No, I was thinking that he needed the magic rings to get. You know, he has.
No, that's my fault. Yeah, I just misunderstood.
So yeah, Corp can save some time here if he gets a good AP roll on Giant Gloop, because he's got enough magic to go for the fast strat. Carbon is losing some time, because does need to do this the lower magic strat. And Carbon wants to see some magic ups coming up here on Gloop and Tarsoid, because you don't want to have to take the longer fight on Son of a Gun.
You should get a stam refresh here. I think you kind of want to hope that this taken actually freezes Glenn, because then you'll get like it'll pass your turn.
Yep.
And you'll get a refresh. There we go. Yep.
Yeah, nice.
That's one of those few times that, like, when you're looking at it, you're like, actually, I would rather you freeze this character.
As long as it's not Lena.
Well, no, I meant just in that particular case, because he was the only one with stamina, and if he wouldn't have been frozen, then he would have had to do something like defend all to get, or, you know, it would have been slower to refresh all the stamina instead of just getting it automatically.
Oh, okay.
And since one of them was had enough stamina that they would have gone positive very quickly if he'd hit a defend, so would have given the full stamina to refresh. Stamina refresh is a whole thing. It is the mechanics of how stamina refreshes work do not always make sense. It's one of the things you kind of have to really dive in to fully understand. But the very oversimplified description is if all of your characters are in negative stamina or defending at the same time or unable to move, then it advances to the next enemy's turn, and you get bonus stamina while that advance happens.
So, on Carbon's side, he missed another magic smile.
Oh no.
So he's at 13 still.
It's
Taurusoid should still be... Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, the actual details of stamina refresh are so complicated that trying to explain it on commentary, you're gonna be doing it wrong, so just...
Yeah,
that's the best you can really do.
Yeah, there's a reason that we have like whole stamina refresh like tutorials or like have people explain it. Because if we did it on commentary, we'd probably finish by the time they're beating Lynx.
That's the most important part, is knowing that you just get some bonus stamina out of it if everybody's negative at the same time.
Oh, so we are actually seeing Corporate go for the... Okay, he's gonna get the Magnify off. So he needs to do a 1 Genius here, and if he gets that off, he'll actually get to use the Gloop's blue as part of the blue to fill the field. He did get it.
Nice.
So yeah, so now the blue that the Gloop does will help us. He had a really good starting AP.
Even got some bonus attacks with Lena there.
Yeah,
All right, Carbon go for it. Oh no, he didn't.
No,
Okay.
Carbon said no, I'm not doing it this time. Dying in chat saying, Carbon, you coward.
That's probably because we were talking about it before the race while we were getting set up, so
I guess we
Dying
could-
definitely wanted to see it.
We could talk about it. So what Carbon just did there is he had a chance where you can basically save about 6 to 8 seconds by standing in the corner where that, I almost said Giant Gloop, where the Cybot, my mind is drawing a blank, will walk by you. But it is like pretty pixel perfect, and if you actually do get attacked by him because you're in the wrong place, it's not one of those fights where you can just run away and get around him. You can run away, sure, but you are stuck in the corner, so you have to fight him and beat him, and it's about 1.5 minutes at best case to fight it and get it past him. Ooh, Carbon's trying to
Carbon
get
dealing
around
with these RNG enemies, they phase in and out of existence, but how fast they phase back in is random.
Ooh.
So they can play some pretty big mind games with you. That guy tried. He twice came back into existence almost immediately, so that if Carbon had tried to run past him, he would have gotten caught by combat. Carbon did a good job of staying patient and waiting for him to be moving in a good way before he went for it.
Corp finishing the Giant Gloop on that side, while Carbon is heading into the Taurusoid fight. So Taurusoid is not going to be as friendly, where he is a green element user, or green innate. So when he uses attacks, he's actually going to interrupt our blue field. So a big part of the thing with learning this fight is, ooh, that miss is kind of rough, is that you have to be able to count stamina, know like whether or not you're, count AP, know whether you have enough stamina to fill the whole field blue. This is one of those fights that if you're a new runner, you're told to kind of practice and learn a lot, because getting frog prints off here can be rough. if you're new.
Yeah, the safest way is to do all your prep in advance. And then if you've got everything ready, then just wait for him to use backdrop and then go after the backdrop. But
Yeah.
depending on how good your starting AP roll is and how good you are at counting stamina, you can try to beat it sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, even in the worst case scenarios, they say like that you had a lot of misses and stuff like that. Like an experienced runner will know that they can fix it and still get it off by defending and giving a whole extra turn, which yes, it is a little bit risky in that way, but it's better than using all the animation time and everything of getting the field completely blue and then get interrupted, because then you don't even have the blues to fill the field anymore.
Yeah, and the dangerous part, especially to new runners if you have a bad start, is after this backdrop he's going to attack, and then I think he's going to heal plus after that. But it's very rare you see the heal plus, but if you have a particularly bad start...
Corporate just got the Cybot skip there.
Nice.
Nice.
I missed it.
He's choke slamming. Is that an HP threshold difference?
I'm sorry, I missed it. I was watching Corp side.
Yeah, I usually see him attack there instead of going for choke slam. But either way, he just took a turn, and Carbon knows that he's got enough AP now to go fill the field, so he's going to do that now.
Yeah, so we haven't really explained AP because it's one of those other things that can, like, if you going into detail about it would take a little bit of time. But effectively, we mentioned that's how fast enemies go, and we'll just say that the Taurusoid has about 11 AP, which is about 11 attacks worth of stuff, and Corporate got caught.
Yeah, he got trapped in the corner.
But that is basically what Carbon and them are counting right now to make sure that
I don't know if running away was a good idea here. Can he get out?
I think he should be able to get out. I believe. Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you. I was scared.
No, that's fine. Yeah, there's a lot of things happening on both screens, so anytime anybody needs to cut in, feel free.
I think the simple explanation on AP is that if you're attacking, the number of stamina that you use is 1 AP. The bosses have an AP counter. When it runs to 0, they take their turn. And elements, even though they use 7 stamina, only use 1 AP. And that's
I will say,
Lena still didn't get a magic.
yeah, he didn't get a magic hit. Continue your thought, Raccoon. Sorry, I just happened to check to do the magic.
Yeah, that's the main way that a lot of these fights work, is that even though the stamina usage on elements is high, it still only uses 1 AP on the bosses, so it lets us cast a lot of elements in a row while the boss just stands there when we've got our element grid and our stamina set up in advance. There's a lot of other minor details about AP that are important, but it's mostly just if you're attacking, you use the number of stamina and AP, and elements only use 1.
Yeah, and as we see Corporate going to be trying to repeat the same strat, he has a little bit higher magic, so you could gain a little bit of time here. We're actually going to see another big part where AP plays a factor. Not so much for Carbon, because no matter what, Carbon's getting Kissy Wissy. I'll explain that. But like, say that he had higher magic here. The idea is that you could save 30 seconds based off an AP roll that we have no control over. You want Son of a Gun to roll a 3 AP or higher, so you can do a 1-1 with Serge and then go with Lena. And basically, skipping Kissy Wissy will not only skip the Kissy Wissy animation, you'll also skip the mode change animation. And it just saves 30 seconds based off an AP roll. Unfortunately for Carbon, even if he gets the good AP roll here, because he's at 13 magic, 14 I think effective because he has an extra magic ring, he cannot kill with Frog Prince, and we'll see Kissy Wissy and mode change regardless.
Yeah, it's a combination of both of them being long animations and the mode change. This boss is supposed to be a boss where you have to alternate between using magic and physical, where it changes which one is weak to. But at the beginning, you can just do a bunch of damage before it does the first mode change.
Azala in chat does bring up a good point. Carbon might try turn red strat, and if he gets a good AP roll, he could potentially still skip it. He might have to get the turn red, and he might go for it. I actually forgot about the turn red strat on Son of a Gun because I don't ever usually do it. I usually just, even though I get the good AP roll, I'll use like Frog Prince and then just poke after. But you can go for a turn red.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's risky because the AP roll on Son of a Gun can already be pretty tight, even without going for the turn red.
Right. I think I saw Corporate's Lena at 19 magic going into the Son of a Gun fight.
Lena decided she was having a very magical day today after all of the other stuff that happened.
Effective. Andy says effective 14 magic. I think it'd be best to go for it. I imagine he means go for the turn red.
Yeah.
Because without the turn red, if he's at 15, even if he's at 15 effective magic, you can technically kill. It's just out of your control. It's a variance roll. 16 is where your variance doesn't matter. You'll just kill.
Even at 15, if you miss it, you see the two animations. You can just pretty quickly one tap it for the end.
So he went for the turn red, but he also missed. So he's actually even hoping for a higher roll.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been surprised to see him just run away and reset it after that miss. But
wow,
he's going for it.
He got such a high roll, and it's gonna work out. He should be able to kill now.
Wow. Because Son of a Gun can roll as low as like what, 3? I think.
He can roll 1.
Oh, he can 1. Okay.
Yeah, all the bosses can roll up to starting at 1 up to whatever it is. So like he can roll like whenever you're doing it normally, you're hoping that he doesn't roll a 1 or a 2. But I think this one he was hoping that he didn't roll like even like a 6 because he did 1 missed, then did 1 turn red, so that's 4. Did I think 1 with Glenn, which is 6, and then got to attack with Lena, and she both hit. So this is a blessing for Carbon.
Yeah, definitely bailed out a little bit by the AP roll. That could have been a lot worse, especially with low magic.
This should do way more. 383 is the max health of the Son of a Gun. He did 374 with that alone. Easily kills because of the turn red.
Yep.
Nice backup strat from Carbon there.
I mean, yeah, I should also mention that, like, because he got to turn red early, even if he got low rolled on the AP, he's not really risking much because that just means that he'll do Son of a Gun will do a physical attack. You can build Glenn to level 4 for the Panacea and then defend, and then it's just like as if you didn't go for it at all.
Okay, so still no magic for Carbon. Is at 13, 2 magic rings, but he is actually have pretty high magic on Serge. So we could do some Luminaire strats here near the end. When you have high magic, Luminaire, which you just gain access to, does quite a bit of damage on Serge on some of these fights.
I'm gonna wait until it happens here before I say what I was gonna say for corporate side, but because I'm not gonna commentators curse anybody, but. Oh, it happened! No! I was gonna say, how much Chrono Cross would it be that the person who had the high enough magic to do it doesn't get to do the good start? Oh no! I thought it. It's still my fault. Yeah. So where Carbon got a 7 AP roll from Son of a Gun, Corp got a 2 AP roll. It just means that you're gonna see Kissy Wissy.
Oh, did he get fatigued?
Yeah, no, he got he gets frozen, and that's why we put these on Glenn here. And now you just have to defend all, and it's just where the 30 seconds of time loss comes from. Carbon also had a good dodge on the Stair Guard or the Stair Dragoon. This could be a little bit rough. Bunyip could go a little bit rough with a 13 magic Lena here.
This is actually a deceptively dangerous fight. When you have low magic, you need to be very on top of counting AP on this fight, because if he might need to run actually, because if you take too long on this fight, he will cast Inferno and it will wipe you at this level. So yeah, he runs on the 1 AP roll, not gonna risk it at all. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, the problem is that we magnify the field, and we haven't really mentioned it, but magnify is not a buff to just our party members. It buffs the entirety of the field. So if we magnify the field and then we get Infernoed, Inferno hurts, and it can just straight wipe your entire party.
Yeah, I think you could potentially risk that if you had higher magic, but having low magic and a low AP roll here, if you miss at all, that's going to be really scary.
Right. Corporate actually finishing Son of a Gun, so he's not even a full fight behind anymore. We do only have 3 fights left, including this Bunyip fight, but it is nice to see that this is still pretty close.
The Bunyip fight is essentially 2 fights in 1 as well, which is interesting because it's 2 fights where you do not get your elements back. So It is one of the more interesting routed ones because we have to spread out our elements to use them between the two fights. And I am curious if we're going to see Luminaire here. I assume we will because his
We
magic's
will,
pretty
yeah.
high.
Yeah. Well, we Luminaire as like a default, and then if like say that Lena has really high magic, like Corp could do it. I don't know if he will because he isn't really an adopter of it, but Carbon would have. At 19 magic, Carbon will usually do an extra menu where he'll move Frog Prince to level 6, so Frog Prince will just, or like 20 or so it'll just kill outright.
Yeah.
At 19, you can move it to level 6 and do a Bush Basher or something instead, skipping the long animation of Luminaire.
Yeah, I knew you could skip it. I just don't know the stat numbers behind it.
Right. Yeah, it's usually just kind of like the safe thing to do is to just go ahead and do Luminaire. It's a little bit slower, but it for sure should almost always kill unless both of them are terrible.
Especially if your Surge has pretty good magic. Like, it
Right.
just makes it very safe. If you got low magic on Surge, yeah, questionable.
Corp's going to go for the dodge here. Oh, he didn't get it. It's kind of rough. It's hard.
Yeah, that's probably one of the harder dodges in this dungeon, and it doesn't look hard at all. It's just because that enemy has a wide hitbox, and you can kind of bait him to walk along the wall, but it doesn't always work. So if he's wiggling in place, he can take up like most of the width of the staircase.
I don't think this Luminaire kills. 696 on the Frog Prince is a low roll. And it's because she's at 13 magic.
Yeah. This was like 17 or 18 magic on Surge. That's pretty good.
Oh, it did? Okay, so yeah, he
Yeah.
had really high magic then. Never mind.
I didn't see what he got after Son of a Gun, but he had 17 magic earlier, so it's a really high damage Luminaire, which is
Very high.
really nice because it bails you out of the low roll there.
Yeah, no, that's definitely... So, there's times you can have like 11 magic here with Surge, or 12 magic, and you wouldn't be that surprised or whatever. So having 17 here, that's pretty high.
It's always fun. Well, not fun, but in retrospect, it's fun when you have a Surge who has higher magic than his strength, and you're just like, what in the world?
Yeah, I'm glad that you changed that from fun.
It can be fun to look back on, not in the moment.
Right. So funnily enough, actually, what a segue. But we're actually moving out of where Lena's magic matters as much, and we're heading to the last two fights of the fort, where basically we're gonna go back to resorting to physical strats to kill Viper and Lynx the second time.
If you've got absolutely abysmal strength, Lena's magic can bail you out with a photon beam on Lynx, but
Right.
I think we're fine enough on strength where that's not necessary, and Carbon skipped it anyway.
Luckily, I don't think either one of them, unless I missed it, got zero rolled by Bunyip, which can happen because he's technically, even though he's a boss and bosses can only one roll you, the AP for Bunyip's second phase actually is rolling at the same time that you're doing the first phase, and so if you change phases on the time that he's sitting at 0, he'll just immediately go.
Yeah. Bunyip this first form of Bunyip, I don't remember what it's called, the dark version, is not quite as scary. His scary attack is a free fall, it's single target, not an AoE. So if it hits Surge, it can still be rough, it can take him out, but you can recover from that if you have a really bad AP roll.
Go ahead.
What's that?
I was gonna say we can just call the first phase Bunyap. We'll just call him Bunyap and Bunyip. Corp did see Gravitone. Usually you try to finish before that, but it didn't happen. Oh, he's... Okay, so he just must have got a really low AP roll in the first one, because he hadn't even used Luminary yet. But this should kill.
If you get the low AP roll and some misses, sometimes you'll see the free fall, but that's only on a really bad fight.
I do also want to keep reiterating, like, this is still very close for as much variance as there can be in Chrono Cross. This is what you would expect in the finals.
It's been one of those things where Carbon's stat luck was objectively worse, but he kept getting good AP rolls in his fights, so he's able to make it through without losing too much time.
I also did see Carbon's strength on Glenn, but he got a good AP roll on Viper just here, and so if he has good enough strength on Glenn, he can skip this G-Force.
It also... It feels like Glenn crits on Viper more frequently than other characters. I don't know why. Confirmation bias, I guess. And a crit there also just guarantees the skip.
He did skip it. Nice. So that's another case of a good AP roll. So like you need good strength on Glenn. Well, he actually didn't have that good. Oh, he had an extra gauntlet. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, so you need good strength and good AP, and he happened to have both.
Also, remember that corporate got third key and Carbon was first, so
That is also true.
that was a huge time difference there.
Yeah, Carbon actually going in to the last fight of this. Well, actually going into the last fight of this Lynx 2 tournament for him.
Yeah, this is the grand finals essentially, because we're not doing a bracket reset no matter who won here.
That's a good target for the glide hook.
One of the less fun things here is that one of the things that Lynx does is he casts one of your elements. And sometimes he can troll pretty hard by casting one of the elements you really want in that turn, and then you don't get to use it because it actually blocks you from being able to use it because he cast it.
The really nice thing is because for Taurusoid on like following CTW and like notes that I use as well, and I think other people have adopted as well, is we put Weak Minded on in one of the menus going into the fort, and we also use it on Taurusoid, and he can pick up and use the Lena got murdered there, but he can use the Weak Minded on that turn, and it basically buffs Serge strength.
Yeah, because just the white element on the field.
Right.
Depending on your stats, you might be unhappy about Lena dying there, but since we've got high strength, Lena's got low magic, Carbon's not too concerned about it.
Carbon getting ready to close it out. Yeah, but he should get another turn here, but he should be able to easily finish on this turn. That should have been
Nice,
that should
nice
be
defend there. Because this Lynx can actually attack, I think, up to 4 times if you get unlucky.
I don't think Carbon needed this Luminaire, but he's doing it for the what's what I'm looking for? Style, yeah.
Wag?
Flare, pizzazz.
That's a GG to Carbon.
GG Carbon.
+2 strength right at the
+2 on Glenn.
That was a 2:10:48 for Carbon, which is fantastic in a race setting.
Yeah, it's interesting how the finals wound up being an exhibition of backup strategies, with both of them having pretty low stats to begin with here. Carbon pulled out a lot of really nice adjustments in the fights, like sneaking in extra defense when it was dangerous, throwing in the extra heals. Really showed a good job of knowing how to make some of the scary fights safe when they're going bad. So really well done to Carbon.
Carbon's undefeated, so he just went straight through and everything is in front of him.
Yeah, I do want to mention Corporate's actually really not that far behind in terms of like a race setting as well. Corporate is heading into the final fight here as well.
And the damage from Lena is more relevant here. I'm curious if he'll have her cast anything. Didn't see if he actually picked up the photon beam. If you've got high strength, that's not worth it. But if you got like middling strength and high magic on Lena, that can do a lot of damage to Lynx.
No, he did not pick up the photon beam. Neither of them did.
Okay.
Both
More of a
hooks
full run
targeted-
strat, because you're always going to have it in a full run,
I believe Corporate got a pretty good AP roll at the start, so this is actually pretty nice. Although it looks like he spent a little more stamina, so he can't even do like the 1 pause 3-3, so he's just gonna do a 3-3 here.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that too much. But we talked about boss AP and how they move when they get 0, but if you mash extra attacks, you can push them into negative AP. And a lot of the fights are routed around that. That's a very complicated discussion, so that's about as much in depth as I'm going to go on it.
Yeah, that's fair. a lot of explaining Chrono Cross stuff is trying to pick your battles on how much of a in depth you want to go to explain to people.
Yeah. And he used the Aqua Ball from our Elemental Grid. That's a fine one. Doesn't have a super long animation.
That's GG for Corp and GG for the tournament. Good run, Corp. Good run, Carbon. It was really fun to watch.
Yeah. Thanks everybody who put this on, participated. I love seeing people play this game. Thanks for inviting me to the finals as well. And congrats
It
to
was really
Carbon.
fun to commentate with you. You too, Doc.
Hey, I'm being here. We want to try to see if the runners want to come in and talk.
Yeah, Carbon, Corp, if y'all want to come in and talk about the race. Carbon, if you want to come do your victory speech.
They are both deafened at the moment, but I will just say GG's to both of them. I have to run. I have another commitment. So thanks everybody.
Thank you
And,
very
if
much for
you're
being a part of
interested
this, Rail
in-
Coon. It's a pleasure, as always, for you to commentate these type of events when we can get some of your free time.
Yeah, and I just want to say if you're interested in Chrono Cross, hop into the Chrono Speedruns Discord. Very welcoming, lots of information over there. It's a deceptively easy speedrun to get into, but it's hard to master. So it's a lot of fun if you're looking for a speedrun of a classic JRPG. But I'm going to dip there. Thanks, everybody. GG's to both runners.
We have corporate here. Talk and Carbon. Come on in.
Hey, GG's Carbon. Congrats.
I think Carbon might be still setting up his mic or something for Discord. If you want to maybe talk about your run, Corp.
Did you know I don't like the Power Glove?
I said that you were going to say something about it whenever it got dropped.
Yeah, this the run was kind of mean overall. I didn't make too many mistakes except at the very beginning when I forgot to buy the fireball. I just left the village. Overall, I just did the best I could with the luck that was given to me. Stats were good after a certain point, but you know, it doesn't matter if you're really strong if you can't hit anything. And I had so many fights where I just kept missing and missing, and
Right.
a lot of AP starts that were bad. So Fire Dragon, Son of a Gun, a few others. Some fights went really well. The Dragoon Rider fight, Taurusoid. But the Neo Enbol fight where we got hit by poison gas, I almost forgot that could happen because you have to miss a lot of times for you to see that. So anyway, that's my general thoughts on the run. Oh yeah, I did Cybot skip. Yeah, that worked.
Yeah, well done, Corp.
Thanks, Carbon.
Carbon, you want to talk about your
No, not particularly. No, it was yeah, I don't know. Obviously, I think if we had the same like key luck, Corp probably would have taken this one. It seemed like he had better overall luck. Yeah, I don't know. It was a lot of the fights that I had. Obviously, as I heard Rokun at the end, I had to do a lot of backups and just kind of really slow like Mount Pyre stuff. But I got really lucky that they all kind of went my way. All of those fights, like while they were slow, could have been a lot slower or more dangerous. So, yeah, I think overall it was just kind of lucky that even though my Lena was pretty low magic, to get through that. So
Yeah, fighting Bunyip at 13 magic is never fun.
yeah, I knew as soon as I threw that one, I was like, I'm getting one rolled, and I did.
Right.
So I was like, I should just 2-3 every time.
I will
Never
say,
trust the starting AP.
Son of a Gun rolling like a 7 AP on the starting for you was really nice.
Yeah, that was helpful. About like 30 seconds that I could have lost there, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see that bad in the dream sequence. Like I heard it, and I was like, it kind of camoed, and after that, and then that Komodo that just wouldn't stop eating, I was like, okay, this is not gonna go
those
well.
were RNG manipulations.
For sure. Well, okay, so I was gonna do mini star once because I was like, I just have a bad feeling about this run, and fortunately I got the double humors, so I didn't go for it because then I would have missed it anyway.
So you were able to do iron dagger strats. That sounds nice. Yeah, I did not get the ivory vest drop, so I had to do ivory dagger strats, and didn't really work out too well. Some fights like Marcy was okay, but the general guard fights and catch-up was pretty bad.
Yeah, I think from what I saw, like both of our Lynx ones, was something to forget. But yeah, overall, I mean, I'm happy with how I executed the run. So, yeah.
Apparently,
I also
magic
saw you-
rings are better than power gloves because Carbon had ended up with 2 magic rings, and Corporate you had 2 power gloves. So
Oh, nice. Interesting luck.
I also saw Corp that you played it safe on the ghost ship escape, and you got trolled by that one enemy.
Yeah, so for those who are wondering what that was about, if you wait on that seam, it looks fine, right? It looks like you can go, but that guy can go so fast and hit you. So if he's not gone yet, if you play it safe and wait for him to go, great. But he just kind of trolled me, so we had a staring contest, and it was fun. But yeah, so that's what that was all about.
Yeah, because it's always like you wait for it, and you're just like, okay, you're not going, and then you go, and it's like, ha, gotcha.
Yeah, the deadbeats move faster than you, and there's a lot of lag in that room, so you move slower than normal as well. So even though it looks like you can easily just go, you're taking a big risk if he decides to troll you and go just before you do, because you have to commit to a direction. You can't back out at the last second.
Yeah, overall, I think it was a very good race. Y'all were still very, very close, even with all the variations that can happen and the key RNG differences. Like, it was still a very close race.
Yeah. What was your final time, Corp? Like a 2:13 something?
Yeah.
13:27. The timer on the game thing actually stopped there. So
Yeah. I mean, anytime you can get a sub 2:15 or 2:14, I mean, obviously for like PB attempts, it's probably not what we're looking for, but yeah, I mean, it's just really good. It just kind of shows kind of how much skill and kind of awareness you need. So, overall, really good race. Thank you, Corp, and GG's.
Yeah, thank you as well. And thanks RPG Limit Break, of course, for hosting this. It was very fun. I appreciated doing commentary and participating in the tournament.
I also want to reiterate what Andy's saying in chat. Big shout out to Dine. He made all the layouts for the events. He restreamed it all, scheduled everything. Like, Dine did a whole lot. So thank you, Dine.
thank you, Dine.
Yeah, thank you, Dine.
You beat me to it. Yeah. Thank you so much, Dine. You put in so much effort and have just been a huge help for this community. And just thank you so very much. Everyone in chat, please give them a GG's and a thanks.
And please join the Discord if you can. If somebody have the link to the Discord, that would be, because it's a really nice community. I mean, you can learn about the speedrun. I mean, even if you don't necessarily speedrun it yourself, you can just learn about it and learn all the ins and outs. It's a really great speedrun, and with the Lynx 2 category, it's a nice introduction to it. So, yeah.
Yeah, so Dine, if you have any like closing words you want to maybe say?
Just thank you everyone for continuing to tune in. Obviously the runners, the commentary for taking their time for helping put on such a wonderful event. This being the first time I've ever done anything like this. I do have to thank part of our admin team. El Grangieri helped me out quite a bit with trying to schedule the tournament matches, just because he has knowledge from doing Chrono Trigger's Megas RTA, which is kind of their race category. Andy for stepping in doing commentary when we were short the odd couple of days. Commentary was the one thing we were worried about, and everyone we were overwhelmed by just how many people seemed very, very energetic about this. And also to Andy and Jerry for just putting up with my nonsense for the last 2 months. No, this event's fun. Hopefully we can do it again next year. If we get a couple more people, that could be fun. A little more work, but it's always fun to see so many people have an interest in the game, especially now that we have a race type category. So GG to Carbon and Corp. That was an amazing final race. We had a lot of good moments during the tournament. We had the birth of Lena, Rom gave us all a heart attack yesterday when Lena decided to slap Fire Dragon silly. A couple of the runners lowered their PB times by quite a bit. AGD2 you've seen in chat, Kizu and Izu as well have all lowered their PBs. Hobbs is the first one to fail and succeed Cybot skip. Azalea's got 100% success rate on guard skip. Just a lot of very, very memorable moments, and it's nice that chat was also enjoying it. Just shout outs to RPG Limit Break for giving us the channel to give us a much wider audience for everyone. Just to do the one last plug, there will be a Chrono series relay coming up next Saturday starting at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. There will be 3 teams running through the whole Chrono series. So Radical Dreamers, which is a text-based adventure. It might not sound the most interesting, but it's, for anyone that likes Chrono Cross, it's definitely worth a playthrough. It's a short game, very nice tie-ins, great music. And then we'll be going into a full run of Chrono Cross. So anyone that's just recently found out about the speedrun, you have a good chance to watch a full run there. And then we'll be ending it with Chrono Trigger 100% glitchless, the PC version. So we're hoping to see you there. Once again, just thank you for everyone for helping to put on such an amazing show. I see Bomb Bomb is back doing Chrono Cross. If anyone wants to watch a run, very, very entertaining fellow. Thank you all. Hope to see you next weekend for the second Chrono Series relay. Everyone have a good night and be safe. And